Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 22 of the Two Idiot Gamers podcast. It's me, yet again, Chris.
Yeah, it's me. Being less irritating than usual while eating my dinner because I've done 3 streams today. No, 2. I've done 2 streams and uploaded a YouTube video. I'm on fire today.
Yeah, it's the green annoying alien guy.
Yeah, said the tiny baby shapeshifter.
Sorry, that was
Such
just
a
me
young
opening up
little
a can of Big Red. But how are
Wow.
you doing, AC? How are
Compensating
you? What are you up to? How was your
Well,
day?
currently I'm eating dinner. Today has been spent playing Saints Row 4 with Saber, which quickly devolved into utter chaos and my chat becoming extremely thirsty, which was really funny. Followed by my Kamen Rider reaction video going live, which I'm still proud of that I finished that edit. It was a good edit. I will die on the hill that I made a good edit for that. Barring the fact that I discovered some of the footage was a bit out of focus, but I was so tired that at that point I had stopped caring. So I was like, I've been editing this for like 2 weeks. So most of it's got a decent thumbnail. It's got vibes.
That's good.
So
For
I'm
those
happy with
watching at home on the live stream, this is getting streamed to our YouTube, Two Idiot Gamers. You can go ahead and tune in there, or just watch the recap. Watch like the live stream. But you'll notice on the shelves that I finally filled them out. Yes, I bullied AC because he was being so lazy with sending his pictures.
I could have been even ruder with the pictures. I could have sent you just like fucking. I could have sent you the anime figurines you can't actually have on Twitch.
Why? Please don't.
I could have gone full trash taste on your ass.
That would have been horrible. But you'll notice that he has a Jedi coffee mug, or a tea mug, whatever he drinks out of. He has a squig. He has Garrus. He has a salamander, and then he has Darth Vader, and then a Kamen Rider. I don't know which one that is.
That's Kamen Rider Decade, my personal favorite rider.
Kamen Rider Decade. He has a clone trooper. It looks like a Phase 1?
Phase 2.
Phase 2 helmet, and then a person from Bleach that I don't know. What's the guy's name?
You don't know Gin Ichimaru?
Wow. No, I don't watch Bleach.
You're weak.
And then on my side, I've had Tally and then Karlak there, but I've also got V1 from Ultra Kill, a game that I've been playing a lot recently and streaming. I got a salamander, same as AC, because we both like the salamanders.
Yeah,
I got a little plushie Mothra. I wanted to put a plushie Godzilla, but there's no good ones that look really good.
The other problem with Godzilla is there's a lot of them.
Yeah, they all look really weird, like the plushie ones. And then above
the good
Mothra,
plushie ones are for if you find Showa era Godzilla, you'll find good plushies for those.
Yeah,
because those ones plushify nice.
And then I have the Hunter from Bloodborne, one of my favorite FromSoft games. And then I have Ichiban and Kiryu. And honestly, I could have put Ichiban and Kiryu on both our sides, because we both like the Yakuza series.
Yeah, good games.
Yeah, they're really good games.
And they make Chris cry every time they play them. It's really funny to me.
Just the one that really made me cry was Like a Dragon Gaiden, and then a little bit of Infinite Wealth.
I know 3 made you cry as well, because your favorite character fucking died, even though I fucking hate 3. It plays so badly.
Oh yeah, Rikia.
It plays so fucking badly. Such a wonky game.
I know, you and everyone else fucking says that, which is why I think that they should remake Yakuza 3 like Kiwami.
Obviously.
That'd be nice. Oh, speaking of Yakuza, have you been seeing anything regarding the director's cut for the Switch 2?
No.
So apparently the director's cut added like a multiplayer mode. Um, you can play as like different characters in the multiplayer mode, as
Oh,
well
that sounds
as they
fun.
added like new cutscenes in like the story.
That sounds fun.
Um, so you remember are you cool with being spoiled about it?
I haven't
I
played
mean,
Infinite Wealth yet, so no spoilers.
no, about like Zero, because you've played Zero already, but they've added like new cutscenes and new story stuff.
Mm. Zero was the first one I played.
But you have like no interest in playing the director's cut.
Well, it's not on Game Pass, so no.
All right. So remember the guy in Saijima's jacket in Zero, the one that Majima fights in the massage room.
Yeah.
I forgot his name, but he's like the guy with the needles. So you remember how he like supposedly dies in the story with via car bomb?
Yeah.
Apparently he survives, and he's just like
Wow. Does no
he's
one
like
fucking die?
he's just completely covered in bandages.
Oh, so he looks like a
Uh,
guy. He looks like that one weird dude in Rurouni Kenshin.
sure, haven't seen that either. Um, and
Eh,
a lot of people were angry about it because they were saying like, "Oh, his death doesn't have meaning anymore." Um, I don't know. I didn't think that him dying was like such a big issue. I mean, he's
it
pretty
just
much out
removes
of
stakes. Name one
yeah. He's
character if he hasn't died. Who has died
in
and stayed
Zero.
dead? No, in Yakuza overall, there are like
In
three characters.
Yakuza,
With three
let's
characters I can
see.
think of.
There's Nishiki in one.
Yeah,
Um, Ryuji in two. Riki in three.
and then after that,
Four. What was four? Um, there was that prison guard that's like such a bitch to fight in four because he falls
I,
into the water.
I'm not sure I'd count him.
Well, you said whoever dies. Do you mean like main
Well, I mean
characters that
like
you?
actual important characters, not random dude who got kicked into the water that one time.
Um, didn't the guy, the head of the Tojo clan, die in four? Or was that five?
That was five.
Oh, it's five. Okay, he dies in five. Then I don't remember anyone like really important dying in four.
But also, the one guy who died, one of the heads of the Tojo clan, was just an old dude, and I'm like, old people die.
Yeah, and then
That is what old people
six,
do. They die. Some of the old people in politics need to die, but haven't yet.
and then six. There was what was his
Oh, that's
name?
some
He
good
was
coffee.
Takeshi. He was the old assassin guy.
Oh
I
yeah,
forgot his
I forgot about
name.
him.
He dies,
I
and
forgot about
then
him. There's so
and
much
then
stuff. I've forgotten half of Yakuza. I'm not gonna lie. I
then
played through them in kind of a fugue state at the end. There, I was like, oh my god, I'm playing through so many of these fucking games, and they're so fucking long, each of them.
yeah, they're so long. And then Wami kills his dad in six. Um, and then there's Like a Dragon, which you've played. I'm trying to remember who dies in that one. Um, Ichiban's dad dies in that one. Like a Dragon. Let's see what else. Oh, Psycho's sister hangs herself, or is like killed. I can't remember. It's been a while since I played Like a Dragon because I don't know if she kills herself or she just like gets killed and make it's like made look like a suicide. Um, and then there's Ichiban's the guy that Mondaime, the young chairman. I forgot his name. He gets killed at the end
Oh yeah, I forgot
by the
about him.
Bleach Japan dude.
And he also kills his.
Um,
He also kills Ichiban's like father, who I'm convinced was actually his dad.
oh yeah, it is.
Like they
They got
swapped them by accident. They got swapped
yeah
by
they got
accident.
yeah they got switched in the lockers. And then Infinite Wealth, I can't tell you because you haven't played it, or
Yeah,
uh, or Like a Dragon Gaiden.
yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
those are all the people that I remember dying that were main characters.
Yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot more than I remember. I was wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, we've got a point. We've actually got a point to today's stream, which is starting with. Well, why don't you tell them what we're doing now, Chris? What we're going to be doing to everyone's favorite series. What we're going to do to the series with the fandom that doesn't have anyone raging. That
Okay.
has the
So
nicest, least toxic fandom in history.
yeah, so much so that it's called the Fandom Menace.
Yeah, it's so
So
it's so it's so kind.
since me and AC just got done watching season 2, and then we also watched season 2 of Andor, and we also watched Rogue One right after it. I thought it would be a good idea to do a tier list of all the Star Wars things that we've seen.
Of which I have
Um,
seen significantly more than Chris, but that's just due to being a lunatic fan who just likes watching it.
yeah, he's much more of a fan of Star Wars than me. Um,
Eh.
but let's go ahead and go here. All
So
right, so
we'll both be ranking
this,
it semi separately. We're going to be showing Chris's ranking, but when this goes up on YouTube, they'll and on like Twitter, both our rankings will both like a picture of both our rankings will be put up for you guys to see like side by side because we don't rank these things the same.
yeah, obviously. Um,
Uh, there is, however, wait, how the fuck did
But
I add a sub?
just for the people that are listening on Spotify and then like on YouTube Music or something, we will be saying where we will be putting them.
Yeah,
Let me go ahead and delete this one since that one. So top to bottom, we have S, A, B, C, D, F, E, and then I also added one called Haven't Seen, which is
yeah.
basically
Haven't
I
seen
haven't
is
seen it.
for yeah. If we haven't seen it, it goes in that aisle. It's kind of astounding because mine I added that as an extra thing to have.
Hmm.
Uh, but it's going to be interesting because it's vastly different from Chris's because I've seen everything.
Yes, he
And
has.
surprisingly enough, I have stuff that. Why did you swap E and F?
Oh, I didn't mean to. Hold on. There you go.
How did you? How did you? That's kind of hilarious. The fact that you've now somehow made it so it's F tier is above E tier, which is not alphabetical, but
Yeah,
okay.
it's I fixed it. I fixed it. Okay. So the first one is the original Star Wars. I think
Star
that
Wars
one
Episode
definitely goes
4.
in S. It was a good start to the series that got
You
us really
yeah.
all
I
interested in it.
well, see the thing is that's where it started for like the whole fandom, right?
Hmm.
It wasn't the first Star Wars film I saw. So I'm putting an A tier, and the reason being, it gets a high tier because it is the start. It is quite good. It still has some really good like um, cinematic moments, and it still looks pretty good. But also for everyone who in the comments who's going to be like, "Ah, you should watch the unedited version or the original version." The original does not hold up as well as your brain as your half baked memory tells you it does. The real the re-releases that came in like the 90s are genuinely better. They touched up some shots that make it actively better, and most people remember those versions
Yeah,
over the actual originals.
the one I remember seeing is the one where they added like the CG aliens in the in Tatooine and making
They
Greedo
made
shoot
Mos Eisley
first.
bigger. They made Mos Eisley instead of like a small truck stop. It's like an actual city,
Yeah.
and they expanded a few things, which was really cool. But to me, it's still just A tier. Now we get to the thing that I think is going to piss everyone off, which is
Empire Strikes
Empire,
Back.
which
I think
90%
that's
of
a
the
good
Star
one.
Wars fandom is like S tier, best thing ever. It's the best Star Wars. And I'm sitting here like, I'm gonna piss everyone off and be like, it's B tier, man.
I mean, yeah, it has the Bad One Hoth, which is
I'm lying.
arguably like the most recognizable and most like famous Star Wars fight like battle that's been in like Star
I
Wars.
would. I don't know because I'd argue that, especially for like newer fans or fans my age, right?
Hmm.
Most fans my age remember the Battle of Coruscant over the Battle of Hoth. Most people remember the Battle of Coruscant first, or
From
they'll even
Revenge of the
remember the
Sith.
Yeah, or they'll
Okay.
think of the Battle of Naboo at the end of of Phantom Menace.
Hmm.
Now, a lot of people say Phantom Menace is boring. And to those people, I say, you do you, mate. I don't care. I think it's better than you think it is.
See, when it
Anyway,
comes to the prequels, I haven't seen them in a while. So I'm just going based on what I remember when I first saw them.
no,
Maybe
it's fair.
that's something we could do
We could do
when
a
we
prequels
do.
watch through because
Yeah.
those were my like childhood films, so I have bigger memories. Anyway, back to Empire. Empire is the one where like a huge amount of fans are like, it's the best of them all, and
Hmm.
I as someone who just on on instinct fucking hates the way other people think. I form my own opinion for like 90% of the stuff I do. I go watch if it's about media, I go for my own opinion. Empire, the twist was ruined for me before I ever saw it. Not even like having seen the prequels yet. It was just a thing that people said, like in TV, in
Yeah.
shows. Didn't matter. So the twist didn't do anything for me. It wasn't a shock. It wasn't even particularly interesting. It was just another trope they had in there. Like I get
It's
when it would have come out, it would have been a more original trope. But
yeah.
when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay. Well, I saw
It
that
uh
coming.
it it still surprises me that some people haven't seen like Empire Strikes Back and they don't know like, oh, Vader is Luke's dad. And sometimes I see those reactions like on TikTok or something, and I'm like, how did you go this long without ever getting spoiled on it?
Yeah,
It's like one of the most like popular things in pop culture, like Luke, I am your
it's
father,
also
stuff like that.
it's like it was a joke. I think I first saw it in a comic, like a comic strip.
Hmm.
Before I saw it, I swear I saw the Luke I am your father thing, or no I am the actual line being no I am your father. But like
Yeah.
the fact that it like the pop culture osmosis kind of fucking misremembered the line and then changed it, also gave it away even faster. So I'm sitting here like, nah, I don't like it as much. The duel on Cloud City is pretty good.
Yeah.
I It's still getting an A tier for me because most of the story is there. It's still good. I still quite enjoy it, but I do not enjoy it as much as our next pick, which is going to have to be Return of the Jedi.
Yeah. Yeah, we're just going in order. I mean, Andor is technically the next one, but that's
Well,
like in
mine doesn't have
the
Andor next. Andor for me is like all the way at the end.
oh, okay, because I think I
You
moved it
shuffled
when
yours a bit.
yeah, yeah. All right.
Anyway,
Return of the
so
Jedi S
Return of
tier
the
for
Jedi
me
is
as
my
well.
first S tier. Return of the Jedi is my favorite of the entire original trilogy. I enjoy it by far the most.
Hmm.
Like it is just the best one to me. It has to me the best like the ending gives the best catharsis for the whole series. It still probably has the best ending of all three like trilogy endings. It still has my personal favorite ending, and
Yeah.
I just love the like feeling of characters just finally getting through this, finish beating the Empire, and Luke having this moment of bonding with his father, right? Who was his enemy up until this point. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I liked it where he gets to say goodbye to his father, he gets to say goodbye to Ben and Yoda, and just the music, the battle over Endor. If you say a Star Wars space battle, the battle I think of is the battle over Endor, and the music from that is just stuck in my head forever. That
Oh
bum
yeah.
bum ba da ba bum bum ba da ba. It's stuck in my head. I can basically play bits of it just off the top of my head without having listened to it. I love it so much. That is my favorite piece of like battle music in all of Star Wars, and
Yeah,
I
it
just
doesn't
find
it,
it to
yeah,
be
it doesn't need
mwah.
to be said, but Star Wars has like one of like the best musical scores of all movies when it comes to that.
Oh,
It's just like
100%.
so good, so good, really good. I love the Ewoks. I know that's like, oh my god, you like the Ewoks? They're like the worst part of the movie, but I don't know. I like them. They're cute. They're cool.
I don't know.
I
It
find it.
depends
I
on
I I do find it really weird that they're able to like crush a walker with like wood really
with like
easily.
logs, but I think it's
Yeah, with
like
logs.
I think you should imagine it as if you like drop two redwoods to smash something. It's just they're really heavy, dense wood, and that
Yeah,
can break the metal. I'm like, it's not like super thick, heavy metal. It's meant for like deflecting blasters, not so much deflecting like physical stuff. So I'm like, I can see why it would work, and also it just feels like pure Star Wars silliness, and I'm like, I'm here
yeah.
for it. I love it.
I also like the analog of like nature fighting back because they're literally just fighting with wood. They're not using like technology at all. They're just fighting with what comes natural in like the environment, which is cool. It's like kind of like Rambo. I don't know if you've seen like First Blood, but
I
uh,
have. It's pretty good.
when they're searching for him in like the woods, and he's like using a bunch of like traps made of sharpened wood and like bamboo and stuff like that, just like really like militia type tactics. I think that's really cool. Um, I really like the beginning with Jabba when
In
Luke,
Jabba's palace, and Luke
yeah, in
like,
Jabba's palace. That's cool, and then it goes
yeah.
to the Sarlacc. That's really nice. I
I
really
also
like
like
the
seeing Luke as like a fully realized Jedi instead of like
yeah,
this kid who's training and learning these things by himself. He's like a fully realized Jedi,
yeah. He's much more
and I
competent.
dig that shit.
He knows. Yeah. I really like the ending with with him fighting Vader, and you see that like little bit of anger come out of Luke when Vader mentions like a sister. You have a
Yeah,
twin sister, and he just like
and there's
turns on the lightsaber.
I also love that he like does that attack, and then after he removes like Vader's hand, he has this like moment of realization that he just
Mm-hmm.
wounded his father, and he's kind of his father has the same wounds as him. They've both gone through something like traumatic and damaging, and Luke just stops. And
Yeah,
I don't know, I just love the way they did it so much.
and I can't. Isn't Return of the Jedi the one where Yoda's introduced and Dagobah, or is that the one before? Because I was gonna
He
mention.
goes to Dagobah twice. So he trains in Dagobah the one before, and then in this one, he goes to Yoda dies and he says goodbye to Yoda.
Okay, because I was gonna when you mentioned how similar they are, I was gonna mention when Luke goes into the cave and then he sees like the vision of Vader. He like destroys them, and then the mask like gets blown away and shows that it's just Luke underneath, indicating that he doesn't want to become his father. I thought that was really cool. Um, I can't remember if that happens in Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. Pretty sure it happens in Empire Strikes Back. But that whole thing about Luke not wanting to be like Vader is really really nice. I really like the ending, the last fight. Palpatine slash Sidious is like really good in that little speech that he gives him. He gives. He's just like God. The Ian McDermott really fucking knocked it out of the park. Your rebellion will die. Your friends are lost, or something like that. I can't remember the exact words, but it's definitely amazing. Really, really good. Um, you said you put it in S, right?
Yeah, it's my S tier. So next we're going with Andor, as your list says, which easy S tier.
Yeah, S tier, definitely. One of
Very
the
adult storytelling
yeah.
that like pushes forward the Star Wars narrative. It gives you a feeling for why the original trilogy mattered, why what
Mhm.
they were doing was, and why fighting the Empire was the right choice, why it was the right thing to do, why it kind of lays bare the cruelty and hatred of the Empire, and I really like that.
I think it's definitely S tier, most definitely. Um, before Andor, I didn't really see how bad the Empire could have gotten outside of um Tarkin blowing up Alderaan just to try to get information out of Leia. I think that was the most heinous thing that they've done. But seeing like the Gorman massacre, seeing all the other bad shit that they've done in Andor, and especially in season one with the whole prison arc when with Cassian getting thrown in prison for doing nothing. By the way, he's just there on a planet. He sees like some people running, and the shore trooper says, "Oh, you're part of it, aren't you?" And like, no, and just gets thrown in prison for basically for with no evidence, which is really fucking crazy. Um, I really like how bare bones it is. It's not something like Return of the Jedi or like regular Star Wars with like uh lightsabers and stuff like that. More the more fantastical elements. It's more r- grounded, down to earth, realistic, if that makes sense. You see them just using blasters. You don't see them doing flips and dips and using the force and stuff because um, this isn't really about the Jedi. It's just basically about, oh, the Empire is doing this injustice against the people. We have to fight. We have to fight in order to basically be free. Um, the characters were really nice. Cassian, obviously being the standout. Um,
I don't
Dedra
know.
in season
I
two.
mean, I don't know if I'd call Cassian the only standout character, given
Oh yeah,
Luthen was definitely a fucking standout character.
yeah, I was gonna
Cassian's
list
like
him. Yeah.
really good, but he gets a lot of focus and like
Hmm.
shown why he's important. And I really
Yeah.
like that they like spot like some of the rebel heroes before Luke. The rebel heroes who made what Luke ends up doing in episode 4 possible. The rebels who kind of came before Luke and made him so what he did was possible, and he managed to finish what they started. So
Yeah.
it's weird because I've seen online a lot of people being like, "Ah, Luke just came and stole his thunder," and I'm like, "No, Luke continued what Cassian and his people all set up. They all worked their asses off. They sacrificed their lives to be able to make it so Luke could do this, make this one shot, so Leia could lead the rebellion to victory, so that everyone else could help build up this rebellion to what it became."
Yeah. Like I said, Cassian was really good. Luthen was really good. Dedra was good too. Cyril was really interesting,
He was
seeing how
like he
his character progressed in season two.
It
Uh,
was interesting
uh
seeing like someone who was on the side of the empire who'd kind of like s- drank the Kool-Aid and seen how they like their eyes slowly got his like way of thinking, and his eyes were slowly open to the like truth of the empire and what they were truly like.
mhm,
How it took him a while to get to that point and that realization.
yeah, and when the Gorman massacre happened, and he saw like how bad it was, um, his reaction to it, I honestly thought that he was going to turn and become a rebel, and then that obviously got that idea went out the window when what happened to Cyril's character. Um, Luthen was obviously really good. Mothma was really good too. Um, I wish we got some more out of some more of the council members in the alliance, because we mainly focused on Mothma during a couple episodes. I don't remember off the top of my head if Bale had really much of a focus in this one. I know that he showed up in like a couple of episodes. Honestly, I really wanted to see more of Radis. I thought he was cool. There's that other lady that was at the table basically saying like, oh, we can't do anything.
One of the
uh
other like defector senators, yeah.
yeah. um I can't remember what was Luthen's daughter's name. uh
Oh,
I had
Claire.
Yeah, Claire. I thought she was really
Claire.
good.
Not Claire.
Clea.
Claire.
Clea, sorry.
Stop calling her fucking Claire.
I did the
Okay.
same thing during the watch along. AC made fun
You,
of me
you
back then
kept doing
too.
it, bruh. Man can't hear names.
I hope there's something involving Clea in the future because she was like an amazing standout character. Um, God, just Andor is just such a good show. It was nice. It was a really good change of pace, given how like gritty and like how dark it was. Because the show that came out before it was Skeleton Crew or Ahsoka, I think. I
It was
think
Ahsoka.
it
No,
was
it was
Ahsoka. Yeah.
Skeleton Crew. So
Okay.
Ahsoka, then Skeleton Crew, then Andor season 2. I liked Skeleton Crew, but
Yeah.
we'll get
We'll
to
we'll talk
ranking
we'll
that when
talk
we
about
get to it.
Skeleton Crew. Yeah, yeah. I going forward with like the Star Wars shows, I really hope that they have the same amount of quality and like love that was put into Andor with like the characters and the writing.
I mean,
Um,
it's Disney. They're not going to learn. I don't trust that Disney will learn that that's what made Andor great, and they're not going to just try and ape Andor instead of being like, you just need to put effort and like love into the things you're making, and let them put the budget on screen. Like, give them a budget and let them spend the budget on the good things.
yeah. Um, yeah, it's definite S tier. Um, I think the most logical one to do after Andor would be Rogue One, since we saw that one right after it.
Yeah, we can do Rogue One next, which
S tier.
again, it's I'm putting it at high A tier, and the reason being is I make it really hard to put anything in my S tier.
Yeah.
I have so I adore Rogue One. It's still one of my favorite Disney era films, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
of the Disney era films, Rogue One is probably my favorite. It still doesn't break S tier. It's close. It's a very good like ending to Andor, but Andor, the show itself elevates a lot
The
of what
movie.
happens in Rogue One as far as
Yeah.
Cassian's story goes. Jen's story is very good. I really like a lot of the things they do. It the set pieces are amazing,
Mm-hmm. The
and
battle
they've
on
got
Scarif.
the battle on Scar is fantastic. The when you meet Chirrut on Jeddah is fucking beautifully
Yeah.
choreographed.
Oh god,
The
so good.
the whole confrontation on Edu is very tense, and I love how tense they managed to make it seem
Mm-hmm.
or make it feel. So Edu was great. There's so many like great things, but it's all like, and it's really cool to have it this like progressive feeling war movie because it doesn't feel like an espionage, which is what Andor was. It felt like more closer to like if you go and watch a World War II movie. It felt like that, where it's just like there's so
Yeah.
much shit happening, and these characters are getting pummeled by just everything around them. And I really enjoyed it. I like that it ended leading directly into A New Hope.
Yeah. Um, you guys could watch along because we did the watch along for Rogue One too.
Yeah.
You can hear me basically be so excited during the battle on Scarif and then like the space battle. It's just like so good. It's just so good. And like AC said, Andor very much so elevates Rogue One. So much so that I remember seeing Rogue One in theaters when it first released. And before watching Andor, I would have put it in like an A, probably. But after watching it and being where I am now in when it comes to Star Wars, it was just like really, really good. The action was really good. The special effects was really good. Uh, the stuff with Krennic and then Moff and Grand Moff Tarkin, even though Grand Moff Tarkin was CGI, I didn't really care all that much. I know that people will
Oh yeah.
complain like,
Everyone
yeah,
like
people complained,
they
but I
throw a
didn't I
major
didn't
wobbler
care.
and they say it looks terrible, and then every time I rewatch, I'm like, it looks fine.
Yeah,
I mean, it looks a little bit wonky because it is like an early stage of doing shit like fucking just like face replacement. But they've been doing face replacement for decades, and it looked fine. It actually, for the time it came out, and the fact that it was a very early version of it, and
hmm
it was just a full straight up head replacement. I'm like, it was fine. It was a character. It was an important character to that era. They couldn't really tell that part of the Death Star story without Tarkin.
Yeah, he was
like
such a big part of it.
because he's a very important part of that story.
Um,
So yeah, one
it's
second.
funny because when I remember, I've told you this and I've said it in the watch along too. When I first saw Rogue One in theaters, I was like, "Didn't wow that guy's still around?" I thought it's been like so long since the original movie. I thought he like died or something because because the CGI looks so good. I thought it was just like the actual actor. And then I
Yeah,
looked it
Peter
up on my phone and
Cushing.
I was like, "Oh yeah, he died. He died like a while back." And I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah. Although, fun fact about
oh."
Peter Cushing, the original actor who played Tarkin,
Hmm.
all his scenes that you see him in Episode 4, he was wearing carpet slippers. Because so there's like I think there's like one shot where you see like a full body picture of him and you see like the shoes he's wearing,
Hmm.
and that was all shot in the first day. Anything with that was shot in Peter Cushing's first day, because anything after that he'd gone to George Lucas and been like, look, the shoes I got were too small for me. It is incredibly painful to wear them. Can we make a plan? And George was like, okay, cool. We'll just shoot you from the waist up and not show the shoes you're wearing. And so he
Yeah.
walked around in carpet slippers. He was perfectly comfortable. It was entirely because they like just didn't have time to get him shoes that fit.
Yeah, it really makes me wish that he didn't die in the first movie.
That's
Um,
true. He was a very
yeah,
good villain or
yeah, he was
good
really good.
antagonistic character.
And then they mentioned the massacre, the first massacre at Gorman in Andor season 2, that he just landed his ship on a bunch of protesters and killed them all, which was really
Yeah,
crazy. Um, but yeah, Rogue One definitely S tier. That battle on Scarif, man, oh my god, it was just nonstop action between the battle on Scarif and then Cassian and Jin trying to get the Death Star plans in the vault. It was just like so tense, very tense, but such a good movie, such a really good movie.
yeah. It's a really good movie. Now we
All
move on
right,
to
the
my childhood film
prequels,
shows. So that starts with
the
obviously,
Phantom Menace. I put
yeah,
that on A for
which
me.
the Phantom Menace. I'm putting it B because while I really like it and I really love Qui Gon as a character, it's still going to B tier, and
Hmm.
I keep doing this with the first of every trilogy so far. But it's because like it's got a very like slow pace to it in the beginning,
Hmm.
and for anyone who is expecting a very specific type of story. So if you go into it expecting like a very fast-paced story that like gets you with the action and stuff, you're going to be disappointed because a lot of it's about trying to negotiate and having Jedi be negotiators and trying to like talk their way out of things. Even though it does have quite a lot of action set pieces, it still feels like a lot of it's kind of slowed down to talking and characters trying to discuss through things. Like I don't know. To me as a kid, it always was like, okay, these are the parts where the adults. This is what adults should be doing. They should be sitting in a room trying to discuss and talk through things. Even though you
Yeah,
see stuff like Palpatine starting his plotting to get to become emperor, where he starts planting these seeds to become the chancellor,
yeah,
and you can see the start of how the Republic fell into the Empire. And I like seeing that progression, that like slow progression from just senator and normal dude to the all-out dictator of the galaxy. And
yeah,
it fits with how a lot of real life dictators get powers. They slowly start out as just senators or this weird guy on the side who people put in power. Like you take Stalin, for example. Stalin gained power even though he was just the secretary general. He was the secretary. He wrote down appointments for people, but he used that power to put his people in places of power, and then he took over. People were put themselves indebted to him, and as a result of that, they just gave him a lot of power. So it's a very interesting way of seeing it. I've always really liked that aspect of Phantom Menace. And then there's Duel of the Fates and the whole battle with Maul,
yeah,
which is just mwah. It's
yeah. It's
it's it's just
really
like
really good, really good,
it
really good
also sets the tone for the
choreography.
prequels. Yeah, it also sets the tone for the prequels. It's also I would also argue it's the one that does it's one of the duels in the prequels that has like a lot of emotional weight to it, or at least it has a lot of narrative weight to it.
Hmm.
Given it's all about the fate of Anakin and who will train him. If Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan both survive and when Qui-Gon trains Anakin, he probably doesn't become Vader as a
Yeah.
result of that particular outcome. And
It's
then
yeah,
yeah,
it's a very slow paced movie. Uh, Not as like quick paced as like the original trilogy was. Very focused on politics. Um, so much so that I remember people complaining about it, being like, "Oh my god, this isn't Star Wars. Why is there all this politics? It's so slow, so boring and stuff." But
yeah,
when you look at it through the lens of, oh, this is like the start of something really bad that's going to eventually pay off for Palpatine. He's slowly, like you said, he's slowly setting planting the seeds, like
because
being friendly with Anakin, who's like a kid,
yeah,
um
it's also
who
stuff like it's also setting up the idea that evil dictators don't instantly rise to power by murdering their way to power. They
yeah,
first gain your trust, they gain your love, and then once they have that, they start twisting it to what they want. But it
which is
doesn't
exactly
happen
what Palpatine
overnight.
does to Anakin and then
Yes,
Padme and stuff.
and to a larger extent, the entire galaxy, because he becomes a very beloved chancellor that people trust and
Yeah.
give power to, and as a result, he ends up becoming the emperor. But at first, he wasn't like that, or at least he wasn't outwardly like that. If you'd met Palpatine, you wouldn't think that. You'd think he's this like grandfatherly figure. And I always found that a very clever way to display how he gained power and what kind of person he was.
Hmm.
It just made him feel a lot more intimidating as well, because he would slowly like grip your heart and your passions. So I've always found him to be a very compelling bad guy, even though he is a bit mustache twirlingly evil with murder. The
Yeah, at
there,
certain points.
but it
But
also
it's
has
it's it's
yeah
probably like the most realistic rise to power,
yeah
I
no,
would
it's a
say.
proper realistic rise to power. Plus, it also Phantom Menace gave us like Padme, who is one of my favorite characters. Even if there's some weird things they do, I still really like her as a character.
Yeah. Anakin was cool. I mean,
It was also
a lot
cool
of
to see.
people a lot of people
Oh my
hate on
god!
Anakin because the
You know they bullied the kid who played
yeah,
Anakin to the point of he developed some severe mental issues from like the bullying.
yeah, it doesn't surprise me, honestly,
And I'm like,
with how
stupid the fan base is.
with how bad some of the actors got bullied, like in the sequel trilogy, especially like Rose Tico's actor. um it doesn't surprise me at all that this has been going on for a while. um and going forward, I really hope that there's some sort of like protection when it comes to like uh the younger actors, like Skeleton Crew, for example. They're all played by kids. I haven't really seen any people like treat the kids like assholes, not as much
As
as like
viciously as they did to
yeah,
Jake Lloyd.
yeah,
Yeah, I think also part of it is all the people who like grew up watching the prequels heard those stories and were left going, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is wrong with you people? You should not be allowed the internet.
yeah,
Like, it's also the thing of like, there's this cultural shift of like, don't bully kids who are actors. They're not their characters. You don't like the character and the way they're portrayed. It's not the actor's fault. If you don't like the dialogue, it's still not the actor's fault. It's mostly the writer's fault. There's
yeah,
also this weird thing of people being like, um, give Star Wars back to George Lucas. It's like, no, he won't take it back because there was literal songs going, George Lucas raped my childhood. And I'm like, what the fuck? But
yeah.
like
I
genuine
sent you
songs.
that
Yeah.
TikTok. I saw it on my TikTok, and I was like, did they was this that doesn't, oh my god, it was like
I'm also convinced that the
I was
same people
looking, I
who would
was
sing songs like that are the same people who are going, give George Lucas Star Wars back. I'm like, you guys have no self awareness whatsoever.
which is why I really agree with the phrase no one hates Star Wars more than no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
I fucking love Star Wars, and I'm not gonna hate on other people's like opinions and things that they like in Star Wars. I'm like what you like. I will not judge you if you don't like the same things as me.
Yeah.
I am indifferent as long as if you like it, good. If you like things that I don't like, or you hate on the things I like the other day I commented somewhere that like I love the prequels for this and this reason, and somebody replied with "It's so shit" to me, and all I could think to myself was, "Well, somebody's got way too much time on their hands. They're really bored writing hate
I
comments
I
because I said I like the prequels." I'm like, Jesus Christ,
I
dude,
I
you need
saw I
to
saw
calm
your
down.
comment when I was just browsing, and I was like, "Oh shit, it's AC," and I just responded to it like saying weak.
Mhm. I mean, I get it when you're doing it. It feels more like it's just an ironic thing.
Yeah, but you're never gonna hear me say like, "Oh yeah, we should definitely like talk shit up
But
to
like,
the actor and like spread all this hate and shit." When especially
I'd
when
say
they're
it's
kids.
yeah. But like, I'd also say it's different if you're commenting to my stuff and saying shit like that because I'm like, no, it's my friend, and I'm pretty sure he's just shit talking. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's different if it's your friend like shit talking.
and it's different when it's just like some random person because you don't know you don't know if they're being serious or not.
Yeah,
Uh, all in all, it's one thing to hate a character, and it's another thing to viciously attack an actor, especially if they're kids, for playing the character as best they can. I think that's just like so far removed. You have to be like such a really big, huge, mega asshole in order to do something
yeah.
like that. And when you said that it gave the actor like PTSD and like trauma and stuff, and
I
like
think it gave
my
him like a
heart
form of
breaks.
schizophrenia.
My heart breaks because if I was that kid and I acted in a movie growing up and I heard nothing but bad things said about me, like, oh my god, this kid is like the worst thing in Star Wars ever. He fucking sucks. Kill him, kill the kids, shit like that. Which you might think that's going over the line, but it doesn't. It wouldn't surprise me if I load up like the Wayback Machine and go like on the forums and hear or see something like that directed towards the actor. It's a really shitty thing, and it's basically just setting up the kid not to want to pursue his passions.
Yeah, and it's just really sad. They also bullied the guy who played Jar Jar to a
Yeah,
point of
I he
he also
almost
went
killed himself.
yeah, but he was at least an adult, so like he didn't like develop more shit, and he was able to like comfort it.
Yeah, which it that sucks too, obviously, and I think it's a
Yeah.
good thing that the public consensus on Jar Jar has kind of flipped since the original movies.
Well, since the
Because
original release, but part of the reason for
yeah,
that is that the people who enjoy those movies now are like you and me, who were people who grew up with them. Like we were like the
hmm
age where we would have been kids when they were coming out, and then like watch those movies as kids, and we're like, yeah, we were the target audience.
and it's a good thing Jar Jar's actor is still doing Star Wars. He did Keller and Beck, right? I think that's the guy's
Yes,
name in Mandalorian.
yeah.
So
He's
he's
also
like still he's
he
still a part of
also
Star Wars, even though
yeah, but
what
he also
happened to him
voiced
was so
He also
bad.
still voiced Jar Jar in the Clone Wars series.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
So I'm like, he was he was still there.
hmm
He
And
like people couldn't get rid of him, and I'm like,
yeah,
good on him. He's like, fuck you to the haters. I'm gonna just continuing on, and I'm like, fucking valid.
yeah. All in all, good prequel starting point. All right, moving on to Attack of the Clones.
Okay,
That one's A
I
tier for me.
yeah, this one's also A tier for me, and
hmm
I actually rank it above Empire
hmm
because Episode 2 was the first Star Wars movie I ever saw. It was my cousin showed it to me. I remember watching it on like an old CRT TV. So you know the big box TVs?
Yeah.
I remember seeing it on one of those when I was a kid. My cousin showed it to me, and I loved Star Wars. Like my first memories of Star Wars is like watching the chase scene on Coruscant, the like speeder chase on Coruscant, and just being like, "That's so cool." And I
Oh
want to
yeah,
make
when
movies because that's so fucking cool. With Obi-Wan like hanging
chasing
on
Zam.
the, yeah. I'm just like, I remember watching that and being like, this is the coolest shit ever. I want to be able to make movies like that. That's so fucking cool. I love this. And then it was kind of disheartening as a kid to like go online and just see everybody shitting all over this movie that I thought was so cool because the internet is good at just fucking hating things.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I love this. Why is everyone hate it? And as far as I can tell, everyone hates it because, like, I'd see reasons like, oh, the duel with Dooku was lackluster. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. The lightsaber duel was a little bit weird and not as fast paced. And and people are like, we don't like Yoda. We wanted him as the wise old sage. And I'm like, I guess I can kind of see where you're coming from, but I liked Flippy Yoda. I liked the idea that he could draw on the Force to augment himself to the point of being able to
Yeah.
fight like that. I just thought it was cool, a cool way to do it. And people are still like, nah, it's so bad, it's terrible. I'm like, yeah, you guys all have the sense of fun of fucking anemic grandchildren, grandparents. Sorry, like I don't know. It just always felt like people just hating for the sake of hating. And
Yeah.
then I
And
was like, I do definitely see the problems people might have with the romance plot between Anakin and Padme. Some of that stuff is a bit weird, and some of the dialogue is rushed and odd, and you're like, okay, yeah, Anakin comes off as like a really fucking awkward 19-year-old. And like as a teenager, the more I watch, the more I'm like, yeah, no, I can see myself in Anakin trying
yeah,
to flirt and being that fucking terrible at it. And,
we
and
we
thinking
all
so good.
we all grew up having like a weird awkward teenage phase.
No, 100%. And it's also weird seeing like grown adults be like, I'd never flirt like that. And then you watch them and you're like, no, you're worse. You're at least Anakin was trying. The fuck are you doing? You're just like being kind of rapey and less charming. Anakin at
Yeah.
least was trying. He wasn't good at it, but he was trying. And I got it. It was just really weird to me that the amount of hate
Yeah.
it got. It didn't make sense to me. And like they're saying wooden Hayden Christensen was like he has a wooden performance, and I'm like, no, he was trying to imitate the way that Vader used to talk. Because
Was
Anakin's like style of talking is and the pace he talks at is the same as Vader. It like matches
did
Vader's
I don't
intonations.
remember did Hayden Christensen have any roles like acting before this movie?
Yeah, he had I think so. He played in like horror movies and stuff, from what I remember.
Because I remember Mark Hamill did theater, so he had like some experience
He also did soapies.
doing. Yeah, he had some experience acting,
Yeah,
and I wonder if that lack of experience coming from Hayden at that time contributed to that, as well as like the direction from George Lucas, uh,
I
because yeah, I will admit the acting from Hayden does come across as a little bit weird. Um, but if it's like one of his like first big role and he doesn't have that much experience, then I don't really have a problem with it. Um, but like the hate that Hayden Christensen got for this one and the third one, not much. It's not so much as the third one as much as this one. Um, really does suck just as much as it sucked for young Anakin, the child actor. What was his name? Jake Lloyd.
yes, Jake Lloyd.
Jake Lloyd. Yeah, it really does suck, and I'm really glad that um, Hayden Christensen's like appearance as Anakin has did like a turnaround recently, more so recently because he did come back to do Anakin in Ahsoka, and the fan base is like, oh, we love Anakin now. It's cool. He did his best. He's cool. Um, so there's that, which is nice. I hope to see him more in more Star Wars stuff.
He is coming back for Hayden Christensen. He's coming back for Ahsoka season 2. He's
Ooh,
in
that's
it
good.
as confirmed by what you call
Filoni.
so no Star Wars Celebration. He confirmed it himself. He went on
Oh, okay,
stage
man.
in at Star Wars Celebration Japan and said he's going to be there. He didn't. He's like, I'm not going to tell you why or what's going on, what the story is. Just he will be there. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I prefer it that way, to be honest, where we don't
Yeah,
know
and I can't.
why or what
I
what the plot is.
I
It's more
cannot
exciting to
wait.
see when it comes out.
It
Yeah,
it was
100%.
so it was so cool seeing him in Ahsoka and then Obi-Wan, Kenobi. Those episodes that he was in were probably like one of my favorite ones
Yeah,
because
no, mine too. They were like
just seeing him back and like
as Anakin.
seeing, yeah, as Anakin, and seeing that he still wants to portray Anakin even though he got so much shit for his portrayal in like the prequels just shows that he just absolutely loves Star Wars and loves the character. It's like a an underdog story. I just love seeing him back. Um, but episode 2 introduced Count Dooku, one of my all-time favorite Jedi Sith
Oh,
characters.
you like
One of
Dooku as portrayed by Sir Christopher Lee,
Yeah, Sir Christopher Lee did a really
the
good
World War
job
Two
with,
the World War Two
yeah,
veteran who portrayed Dracula for about 40 years, and then was also Saruman the
yeah.
White, and could speak 6 languages, understand probably more than that. Was had what just get and joined a metal band at age 91, and was probably the universe's
I didn't know
main
that.
character for like. You didn't know that? You
Uh-uh.
didn't know he was in a metal band
No.
at 91, and
That's
the
crazy.
album he was a part of charted like top 100 or whatever.
Damn. I didn't That's crazy. Um but yeah, Dooku was most not most probably is definitely my all-time favorite Star Wars character. I really love his lightsaber style, Makashi. I really love his lightsaber. So much so that when I was younger, I had Count Dooku's lightsaber that I play around with my cousins,
So you
doing
had
like
the like
lightsaber light
you had
yeah, the
those like
curved
flick
lightsaber.
lightsabers. Wait, did you
Yeah.
have like one of those flick lightsabers? So what you're saying is
Uh
for the podcast, you should get yourself a replica Dooku saber, and
Maybe one
that.
of these
No,
days.
I'm not gonna lie, Chris. If you buy yourself that, A, I'll be jealous, but B, the amount of joy that will bring you, I cannot express to you how much joy that will give you. As someone who's acquired multiple lightsabers in recent years, it will bring you an astounding amount of joy. I highly recommend attempting to acquire a Dooku lightsaber.
Yeah.
I,
I
however, yeah,
Go ahead.
I can't promote Ilum Relics. If you're South African, go to Ilum Relics to buy your lights for all your lightsaber needs in South Africa. Ilum Relics are molto bene. But if you're in America, I can't help you because I it's going to be difficult for them to ship to you. I get all my
And
lightsaber stuff from them.
I
just
think
just
my love for Count Dooku was only amplified by the Clone Wars show.
100%.
And yeah,
Oh,
and go ahead.
there's one other reason I suggested the Dooku lightsaber, because I got to hold a replica. I got to
Hmm.
fiddle around with a replica at a thing where we were selling lightsabers. So I was helping Ilum Relic sell. They had a perfect one-to-one replica of Dooku's saber, which I got to hold.
It's
It was
such
the
a it's
coolest
such a
thing
cool
I've ever.
lightsaber.
It's so cool, but like it's also one of those things where if you hold it, you'll be like, I can't justify doing anything with this but putting it, like, displaying it, because it's like just
Yeah.
so pretty, and you'd be so scared of dropping it because it's got that like curved hook thing on the all the way at the edge, where I'm like, this is sick, but if I drop it, I'm gonna dent the fuck out of it. So instead, I'm gonna display it. But you're like, oh, it's so pretty, it's so pretty, it's so good.
And the my love for Dooku in Clone Wars and seeing like the various lightsaber fights that he gets into against like Obi-Wan and Anakin just makes me wish that that kind of like the choreography was like the same in Attack of the Clones and then Revenge of the Sith. Um, because I know that Christopher Lee was like a fencer. So George Lucas created like the Makashi style, like to go with that. But from what I remember of like the fights in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, it's like nowhere near as like bombastic or like visually appealing as like the Clone Wars fights.
It's mostly because Christopher Lee was in his late 80s.
Yeah.
It's just because he was all no, he was in his like late 70s, early 80s when they filmed it. And it's more he couldn't do all the fighting. He did have input to the design of the hilt that Dooku had. So the
Mm-hmm.
reason it's curved is because of Christopher Lee. And the way he fought is a bit different.
All
It's
in all,
just a,
really, yeah. All in all, really good
yeah.
movie, really good
And
characters. Go,
there's also just the Geonosis fucking arena scene,
yeah,
which is
the
the
Geonosis
start
fight.
of the Clone Wars. It's that arena battle is technically the first battle of the Clone Wars. It is
Mhm.
the start of the Clone Wars, the very first one.
That's the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Attack of the Clones, the Geonosis arena fight,
Yeah, and
and
I also just think of Kit Fisto force pushing a clone and then force pushing a droid into a thing and breaking him, just grinning, and I'm like, this is the best shit ever. I love this.
that and the what was it? The fight with Jango Fett and Obi-Wan on Camino. That was cool.
Yeah, that was a fun fight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really good. A tier. You have anything else to say about Attack of the Clones? You see?
Uh, I have less to say about Attack of the Clones now. I have a lot more to say about our next thing, which is going to be Clone Wars,
Revenge.
because
Oh, I thought we were gonna
we're
do
going
Revenge of
in
the Sith.
chronological order. So I
Okay.
was thinking we can go
Uh,
chronological order from here. So the next
all
thing
right.
is going to be
Clone
the Clone Wars
Wars,
movie,
the movie.
which
I think
I'm
I
putting
put that one.
at D tier.
I
It's
haven't
bad.
seen it in so. I saw it a
It's
long
it's
time
bad.
ago.
It's bad.
Yeah,
I
I know.
adore the clones. It's going at D tier. I actually, you know what? I'm putting it at E tier. It's that bad. It's bad. It is bad, dude.
From what I
Okay.
remember, it was supposed to be like some episodes of the show, but they just turned it into a movie. Um, and the whole thing with fucking Jabba's son, and who never gets mentioned ever again after, which is really funny. Um, I think Ahsoka being introduced in it was cool. Ahsoka was always
No,
like really
yeah.
cool. Um,
The problems with the Clone Wars movie is the fact that what it actually was two separate arcs of the Clone Wars series being fused into one thing. Like, you can
mm,
even see in the Clone Wars series, there is a pair of episodes in the series that are prequels to the first half of what happens in the movie. Like, it's there's an episode where you see a clone like trader character called Slick, and it is a direct prequel to the beginning of the movie, and it like sets up some of the problems. So I'm like, this was originally pitched as a fucking the problem is it was meant to be a TV show, and Lucasfilm hadn't yet figured out the way to do really good animation like we know Clone Wars to be today. They
yeah.
hadn't got there yet. So we've got we've got this weird disjointed film that feels both rushed and too slow, and
Hmm.
we've got a character like Ahsoka who doesn't get enough time to become someone we like.
Yeah.
We don't have enough time with all the characters who in a TV show you could take a bit more time with, but in a feature length film, especially one with such primitive looking animation,
Yeah.
like loses quality.
Don't get me wrong, Ahsoka does develop throughout the show, which is really good. I think the public perception from the fan base around Ahsoka is probably like the biggest turnaround that I've seen. Um, a lot of people hated her when she came out in the
I will
movie.
admit when it started, I didn't like her. I didn't hate her. I just thought she was kind of annoying when I first saw the movie. I didn't
Yeah,
like Ahsoka very much. Uh, I did learn to like her by watching the series. like,
yeah,
but that's also a problem I would have with the movie. Is it makes Ahsoka feel like she doesn't have a point to being there, so she's just kind of annoying who keeps saying things. She has like one really good moment in her introduction with Anakin that makes you go, "Oh, she could be cool." Where like she and Anakin actually do something as like a Padawan master team, and it
yeah,
works well and it looks good, and then suddenly it's just like downhill.
yeah. I granted I haven't seen the Clone Wars movie since it probably came out
We could
all that
watch it,
time,
and you'll see
long
you'll
ass
see
time
my
ago.
issues with it.
Uh,
Like
but
I'm still watching, but you know,
I think C tier for the movie is probably the best without rewatching it right now. Um, yeah, the thing that I remember most about the movie is Jabba's son, who, like I said, never appears again. And in the beginning, where that clone
oh,
trooper
Ross of the
punches a
Hutt's coming
droid,
back. He's in the Mandalorian movie that's coming out soon.
finally. How
It's
many
weird that
years
he
has
didn't
it been?
come back. It's very bizarre that they didn't use him in Book of Boba Fett, which we'll get to.
Yeah, that's really
It's
weird.
very strange that they like invented new characters for that. It was very weird to me.
But
I
yeah,
didn't understand it, but yeah.
the only two things that I really remember about the movie was Jabba's son and the one clone trooper who punches the battle droid in the beginning of the movie, holds his
Oh
hand and
yeah,
like screams before getting shot.
yeah.
Uh,
That was dumb. That was funny, but dumb.
yeah. Um, okay. I think the next one obviously would be the actual show itself. S tier, definitely. My only gripe about the show is how bad Grievous is as a character. Because I grew up watching the Gendy Tartakovsky,
Yeah,
um, the Clone Wars
I
little
know. I saw that
animated
as well. I saw that as
series.
well. It was amazing, but it does
Yeah,
give a very different feel for how Jedi and clones and things work.
yeah. Um, that's like basically like my only gripes with it. The Clone Wars, all in all, is a really good show. I was watching like a retrospective on the Clone Wars show, and a lot of thought and effort went into creating the show. A lot of the themes were basically around how to like teaching a younger audience how to spot like corruption um, before it got like rampantly out of control. There's that one
Yeah,
episode where Ahsoka's on Mandalore, basically teaching the cadets how public officials should be. They should be for the people. They shouldn't be corrupt, stuff like that. And there's a lot of good build up that goes somewhere. That goes
yeah,
somewhere in like Star Wars as a whole. Like you see Anakin uh, slowly getting disillusioned by the Jedi Order. You see like the seeds start being planted in him slowly becoming Vader. Um, you see Palpatine uh, basically putting himself more in Anakin's life, which eventually culminates in Revenge of the Sith with Anakin betraying the Jedi and becoming Vader. Um, really good stuff. Really good show. Definitely S tier for me. I
I know
really,
that.
I'm
So
really,
yeah,
I'm really glad that I got to watch it growing up because
yeah, I
it
did
just
too. I
basically,
watched so much of the
If
Clone Wars growing up, dude.
Yeah, I watched it
Like
on Cartoon Network, and it really
I,
fueled my love for Star Wars. Go
it's
ahead.
weird because I watched for Clone Wars. I only watched the first like two seasons.
Hmm.
In I watched the first two seasons for Clone Wars on Cartoon Network. The rest I couldn't. I watched through other means, mostly through like DVDs and stuff as a kid.
Hmm.
So I watched the shit out of it, and I also watched bits of it only after I was like an adult or more adult, so towards like 18, 19, when I finally managed to watch past like season five. Sorry, season four. So I only managed to watch like season four and up after I was like 19. And I
Hmm.
really enjoyed watching all of it, right? So I rewatched all of it and I liked watching it, especially the animation, like grow better and better as it went along.
Yeah.
So seeing it's like evolution into better storytelling, better animation, and like connecting with especially the clones more and more. The further we went along into the story was fucking spectacular.
Yeah, they really made it a big deal to more elaborate on the clones as characters, um, which makes it all the more sad when they eventually turn on the Jedi with Order 66. One thing That's one thing I really loved. Basically showing them as individuals instead of like faceless soldiers. How did you feel about the retcon about the chip? Because from what I read before the Clone Wars, it was just like the soldiers just following their orders. And in the Clone Wars, they basically changed it to be, oh, the clones have this chip in their mind that basically compels them to follow the Order 66 order. They're like programmed to follow it.
Yeah, I like that because, but okay, so have you played through the original Clone War, the original Battlefront 2 campaign?
Yes.
So do you remember what they say about how that canon worked for how they where they knew about Order 66 and they were waiting for it to come down the whole time? Like there's this implication that they always knew that Order 66 was coming and they were worried they knew it was coming.
You mean the original Battlefront 2? No,
Yeah.
no, I don't remember if I ever. I think I remember playing the original Battlefront 2, but I don't remember anything about the story. I thought you were talking about the EA
No, 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 no.
Battlefront 2.
No, no, no,
I
no. The
got it
original
confused.
one back
Sorry.
from 2005. Okay. So that one had the clones knew about Order 66 and they were worried about it because they felt sorry for some of the Jedi that they liked. But
Hmm.
they weren't like perfectly on board with all the Jedi. They just had some they liked, but they knew it was coming the whole time. And that
Yeah.
worked for clones that were mostly seen as soldiers. So, like clones from, say, the movies where you don't really get them. And, like, in the book for Revenge of the Sith, there's a scene with Order 66 where Cody basically just goes, couldn't he have done this before I gave Obi-Wan his lightsaber back? And, like, it's a bunch of stuff where it's like, it makes sense for before the chip, where before we knew these characters and their bonds with the Jedi and the fact that they'd like properly bonded with these guys. And then
Yeah.
when it comes to the Clone Wars at the 3D animated one that we grew up watching, the chips reframe that as they became really good friends with these Jedi. They loved and cared for these Jedi, and having this happen means they got their agency taken away and they were forced to kill generals they had grown to love and care for because they got that same love and care in return, right?
Yeah. I can't see them doing Order 66 without the chips, given how much they fleshed out the clones in the show and how much they grew attached to the Jedi and like basically saw them as friends. Like when you mentioned before in Battlefront 2 where they knew that Order 66 was going to happen. Um if they kept that explanation with like the clones as we know them now, I would say like none of the clones would have followed Order 66.
Yeah,
But given the
there's
chip,
yeah.
yeah,
So
they
even
would
in the,
they
in
would
the original
definitely.
canon,
What's
there
up,
were
Lex?
some clones who just ignored the order,
Mm-hmm.
who were like, "No, we can." That I mean, there was a clone commando squadron where they all ignored it because their commanding officer was in love with the Jedi. Also, what's up,
Mm.
Lexi? But he fell in love fully with he fell in love with the Jedi, and they had a child. He ignored the order because he didn't want to kill his wife.
Yeah.
And then with the chips, they don't have a choice. And I like that it makes it more tragic, and it also means that these characters you fall in love with and you've come to care for,
They had no choice.
they had no choice. They didn't want this, but they were forced into it. It was taken. Their ability to choose was taken from them, and they were forced to do this terrible, terrible thing for reasons that they didn't understand.
Yeah.
And as dark as it is, I like it. It also,
Yeah, it makes it more sadder, which like funnels in perfectly with the inevitable thing that happens in Revenge of the Sith, like how sad it is.
it
Like
also happens
if
in the Clone
yeah.
Wars. You see it happen to Rex in season 7, where Rex is fights against it. Where, but the other things, like, I mean, Clone Wars changed a lot of things. It brought the chips. It brought a moment of hope where there was a possibility that the Jedi would survive 66 with Fives finding out what happened. There was a moment with where it could have been different. There were a few of those things. There's Anakin and the Mortis gods, where it introduced the idea of the Mortis gods and how big the Force could be. And
Yeah,
that
when
was also,
the son, or not the brother, the son shows Anakin his future, and he's like, "You have no idea what I have to do to end the Clone Wars." And
yeah,
then
even
it gets resolved at the end by just the dad just wiping their memories.
the father, he like dragged everything out. And
It's
I mean, there's
yeah.
that, but it's also like this more mystical thing.
Mm-hmm.
The weirdest part about it is that in the original canon, there's also one more member of that family, who's the mother, right? Also known
Mm-hmm.
as Abeloth, who is kind of a demented figure because she wasn't immortal like her children or the father. She fell in love with the immortal father and gave birth to his immortal children, but she herself was mortal. And so she used the dark side ritual to make herself immortal, but it corrupted her. It made she actually no, she drank from the pool of knowledge, which gave her immortality, but it also turned her into an eldritch horror. It didn't like just make her immortal.
Oh, okay. So
So
that's why
it
I'm
had like
looking
a
at her. She has like a bunch of teeth, a really big grin, and tentacles.
yeah, and she fell into this dark side thing, right?
Yeah. Damn.
And yeah, Luke later ends up fighting and killing her, but like the way it's done is very dark because she would drive Jedi across the galaxy into uh, paranoid schizophrenia. Basically, they were convinced that people around them weren't the real versions and they were replaced by like replicas.
Oh,
It was, and
damn.
then they would start just attacking anyone. Didn't matter who they were. At one point, one of the Jedi was escorting Leia, Han and Leia, who in this continuity, Leia was a Jedi Master, and the only reason they survived was because Leia was a Jedi Master and was like, no, you're not going to kill my granddaughter. Yeah. Also, I should probably explain that the
This is all
solos,
EU stuff, right?
yeah, so original EU. So in both canon and Legends, the Solo's oldest son turns to the dark side. That keeps happening. So Ben Solo
Yeah.
and Jason Solo both become Darksiders, although Jason became Darth Kaitis, and that was his whole thing. But even with that, I do like, because I'm pretty sure that whole storyline came from those gods, and Mortis generated Abeloth, and there was a lot of cool shit that happened there. And then if we go further into the Clone Wars, we get stuff like the Umbria arc, that has a Jedi falling to the dark side and pitting clones
Yeah,
against other
Krell.
clones. Fucking Krell.
I'm still surprised that he isn't in Galaxy Heroes.
I'm not. Fuck Krell.
Oh man. Um, where did you put Clone Wars on the tier list? S or
I had
A?
said high A.
High A. All right. Where would you put? I know the Gendy Tartakovsky one isn't on here. Where would you put that one? I would put that one on S. That one was really good.
Yeah, that would also go at A, because they tell similar stories but in different ways.
Yeah.
So they're both high A for me. S tier is very high. I've made my standards for what I consider S tier to be extremely high, or for like it has to connect with me in a very specific way.
Did you put Andor in S tier or A tier?
Andor is S tier.
Okay.
Yeah, my S tier has Return of the Jedi and Andor, and that's it. Everything else is
Okay.
A or B, and then Clone Wars movie is E, because it wasn't as good as I'd like. It wasn't good. I'm so sorry. It wasn't.
All right.
And
The
then,
next
but
one.
the next one, Revenge of the Sith, is is the prequel to make it to S tier, and that is because it is my all-time favorite Star Wars movie. It has the strongest like emotional base for me with Anakin and Obi-Wan. It's the only scene in all of Star Wars that repeatedly makes me cry, where I honestly feel the emotions. That duel with Anakin and Obi-Wan, I feel the pain of those two characters. And then with
Hmm.
the context of Clone Wars layered
Yeah.
over that,
Uh,
it becomes even more painful when you watch that scene, and that emotion between Obi-Wan and Anakin, and watching Anakin just like his heart break.
yeah. Oh man, really, really good movie. I really like the obviously the battle on Mustafar between Obi Wan and Anakin. Um, the beginning scene with them rescuing Palpatine from Count Dooku was cool. I just wish Dooku didn't have to die so quickly. Um, but obviously, I understand why to really cement Anakin's step towards the dark side. Um, really, really good. I can't really remember anything outside of those two scenes off the top of my head. Oh, there's the when Palpatine goes full evil and like does the speech where he's gonna retool the Republic into the Empire. That was really really cool. Uh, is this how Liberty dies with applause and cheers and stuff like that from Padme?
Is this how Liberty dies? To thunderous applause. That scene is so good. I fucking love it, and it's so it hits me, because I'm seeing this kind of stuff happening in real life, and
Yeah,
I'm sitting here just like, oh my god, it's so fucked up.
really good. I put it on S tier before it was on A tier, but the more I thought about it, like the more it was like the really good end to like the prequel trilogy. Better than Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace for me. Really good. Um, did you want to do the sequels, or do you want to get the some more of the prequel stuff out, or like the rebellion stuff, like Rebels and Solo and
We
stuff like
can we
that?
can do it. I kind of want to talk more about Revenge of the Sith, but it's really hard to, because a lot of stuff I covered with Clone Wars, because those two things are linked.
Yeah,
And Anakin's fall, and the fact that, and say Order 66, right?
Hmm.
Anakin being in Order 66 is one of the darkest things in Star Wars, and it's one of
Oh
the
yeah,
like
the younglings. Yeah,
hardest.
that's
It's
that. Yeah.
I know it's been memed to shit by the internet, but I still find it hard to watch. I don't even find it that funny when I make Youngling Slayer jokes when I see the like Anakin's replica lightsabers, but if I
Hmm.
go watch the scene, I feel just really uncomfortable watching Anakin like ignite his lightsaber near children.
Yeah. Anakin, the temple's being overrun.
Master
What are we
Skywalker,
going,
what are
Master
we going to do?
Skywalker? What are we going to do?
That
Nah,
honestly just makes me
nah.
feel
Vader,
uncomfortable.
Vader wouldn't let that stand. AC, remember what Star Wars theory said. Vader
Star Wars
wouldn't let
Theory
that
is an
happen.
idiot. And you could tell him I said that. He's an idiot who just lives on a grift, and I don't care about his opinion in any way, shape, or form. I never have. I watched his content, and I found it to be obnoxious back in the day before we started getting new Star Wars content. I found it obnoxious back then, and I've been finding it more obnoxious as time goes on. So
God, I
I'm like,
remember I heard a clip of him talking about the first season of Andor, and I was like, "Oh, this isn't Star Wars. It has like bricks and like screws and stuff on." I was like, "What the fuck, really?" That's the thing you're complaining about, bricks and screws.
dude,
Oh, it's
he complained
so
about stuff
dumb.
where I'm like, what the fuck are you even complaining about? You're just getting something that's more adult than what anything you've watched so far. So now it's challenging your view of things, and you're whining because you're being challenged, and you have to actually show some level of comprehension other than going lightsaber. I'm like,
Dude,
God,
and don't
man,
even get me
fucking
started on season
infuriating.
2 when that scene happened with Bix and the Imperial officer, and he's like, no, Vader wouldn't let that happen. Palpatine wouldn't let that happen. What do they have to do this like sexual assault in my Star Wars? And I'm like, oh my god, really?
That is what
So
happens when fascists have power. It happens when men have power. It is just a fact of society, and it's unfortunate.
all in all, really good movie, despite despite Anakin being evil and killing the younglings. All right. So we're gonna leave the sequels for last.
Yeah, those
What
are gonna
about
go last.
Rebels? I
So
haven't seen Rebels, so I'm putting that I haven't
I
seen, but I've
yeah,
heard good things about it.
Rebels is very good. I'm putting it at B tier. I really like the characters. Kanan, if you watch Rebels, you will fucking love Kanan. I promise you
Hmm.
this. It also proves that Mace Windu's line of Padawans is far superior to Qui Gon's, based entirely on the fact that Kanan Jarrus was the Padawan to Depa Balaba, who was in turn Mace Windu's Padawan. Now, this means the line of Ezra's lineage of Jedi comes from
Hmm.
Mace Windu, and he is objectively a better Jedi than most of those fucking people from that line. He's less chaotic. Actually, he's just as chaotic, but he's more dedicated to the Force. Kanan himself is more dedicated to the Force than many who aren't. And a lot of the internet seems to hate on Mace Windu because he said some kind of mean things to Anakin. But I'm like, he was a leader. He was a guy in charge of hundreds of thousands of Jedi. Oh, tens of thousands of Jedi, right? So he had a lot of people who were depending on him to make the right choice all the time, which makes his life incredibly difficult. And the fact that people hate on him for saying some stuff to Anakin is infuriating.
I still find it really weird that he didn't grant Anakin the rank of master, even though the entirety of the Clone Wars show happened and Anakin was like a seasoned veteran. Like, why could he not have a rank of master? Was it just because he didn't like have the traits of a master, or was he just not experienced enough?
He was just not experienced enough. Anakin wasn't ready to be a master. Keep in mind, when Anakin was demanded to be a master, he was 22. We don't know shit at 22. Anakin, given his personality as well, was a terrible fucking fit for the Jedi Council. He should never have been on the council to begin with. He was only
Yeah.
there because of the political machinations of fucking Palpatine, and the Jedi Council tried to like play each other off, play against each other, and it was fucking unhelpful.
And then him being the chosen one, so they can keep an eye on him, was also part of that as well. Um, yeah, AC says the show is good. Maybe we'll do a watch
You
along
should definitely give it a
sometime
watch.
someday.
And the other thing that Rebels does that is fantastic by my book is it introduces Grand Admiral Thrawn, who was my all-time favorite EU like Imperial character.
Yeah, yeah, I saw him in Ahsoka. He was really cool. I saw like some clips of him in Rebels, and he's like very very smart and tactical.
Yeah.
Um,
He also doesn't hold stupid grudges. Like,
yeah,
so he doesn't chase after things for glory. He does things because it will work. He thinks like a proper military general, where he doesn't have this like a lot of the problem with a lot of Imperial characters, and they show this in Rebels, is they're glory hunters. They show it in Andor as well, where there's a lot of Imperials who are doing things for glory. They're doing it for the glory, and because it'll get them ahead, and they usually get their spots and their ranks because they're born to it. They were given this privilege. Thrawn is
yeah,
not one of those characters. He's a character who earned his right to be there, and he shows it by doing things that are clever. And half the time in Rebels, when he loses, it's because somebody underneath disobeyed the thing he told them to do. They started
and
glory
it's
hunting,
yeah,
and it backfires on them. And Thrawn just sits there like, this fucking moron has now has killed himself because he was glory hunting. And if he just listened, he'd be fine.
and it's
And it
even more
happens so
evident
much.
when you look at Thrawn. He's blue, red eyes. He's obviously an alien, and the Empire doesn't really fuck with aliens. There's like no aliens in the Empire. He's like the only one, which makes you think like, oh, this guy must have done something really really important, or he must have shown some kind of promise in order to be such a high ranking imperial uh, in the Empire, because alien. Um, I don't remember. Does he die in Ahsoka? I,
No.
I okay, good.
He returns to the galaxy in Ahsoka, because he got banished at the end of Rebels. You'll find out why he was on Peridia in Rebels, that and why Ezra was with him. So you've
Yeah,
kind of met Ezra, but you've met Ezra when he's already become a Jedi Master. That version of Ezra is the one who's learned and trained and become an actual Jedi Master. He is
yeah,
by all metrics a Jedi Master. He spent his time there, and he learned, and he doesn't act like a reckless child. He acts like a proper Jedi Master. He acts like his master. He's replicating what Kanan Jarrus taught him.
oh, and there's one scene that I remember, to put Thrawn's like intelligence on display, when he learns that Ahsoka was Anakin Skywalker's Padawan during that little chase scene. He's like, okay, bring the TIE fighters back, have them patrol, but don't like look for her. We're gonna let her do something and then follow up on that, because
And
Anakin
then,
was like so unpredictable.
yeah, but also, okay, fun fact about that. Thrawn served alongside both Anakin during the Clone Wars and Vader during the time of the Empire. He was alongside both versions of Anakin. And
It wouldn't it it wouldn't it wouldn't surprise
he
me
also
that
met
given
Padme.
Thrawn is so smart that he would figure out that Anakin was Vader.
Oh, he did. He 100% did. It's basically said out loud in the book where that takes place, that he basically just keeps implying it repeatedly until Vader says, "Don't you dare tell anyone." But like, Thrawn shows himself to be so competent that Vader can't like just like kill him. He just
Yeah.
leaves him.
Oh man, I love Thrawn. He's so cool. I hope we get something more with Thrawn in the coming shows or like movies. Next one is Solo, a Star Wars story. I think that's a good A. It was fun. I know AC is gonna hate it because it has a droid freedom fighter and he's a robophobic. But L337 was really cool. I remember seeing it in theaters and I thought she was really cool. Um,
I enjoyed Solo. I saw this in theaters with my dad.
mhm.
I really liked. I enjoyed Solo. It was a fun film. Uh, I did kind of actually find L3 kind of annoying. She was. It wasn't her bit
Mm.
that was annoying.
Hmm.
You done?
Are you done being robophobic?
You're 6. You're a 6-year-old. I'm talking about a character I found annoying. Look at this chat. Chris is 5. He can't take criticism of his favorite characters because he's robosexual. So he has to overcompensate by calling everyone around him robophobic. Bender would be so disappointed in you. Anyway, L3 is a. I found it to be kind of annoying, mostly because she was very one track written. I have no idea if you're still there, but anyway, she
No, I'm
felt
still
very
here.
one track.
I was just letting you talk.
She was very one track as a character, and I just felt like they didn't give her enough to do. So she kind of came off as more annoying because she didn't do. She kind of felt like she was trying to make jokes a lot that didn't land properly. So she felt more irritating than like a rebellious leader. She felt just kind of like the character who shouts about rebellion and then doesn't really do anything useful about it. And so
Well,
she kind of felt like
she does set the droids free on that mining planet.
yeah, but they do that a lot in Star Wars. A lot of droids get set free to cause chaos because they're like, if they get mistreated, then they just do whatever the person who removed the restraining bolts does.
Yeah, I really wish that she didn't end up, quote unquote dying at the end. Um, I really would have liked to see something come of a droid character that wants droids to have basically equal rights and not just be used
There
for
is a
like slave
character like
labor and
that.
stuff.
There's actually a droid cult of droids who broke their programming to that, who are completely free of like that urge to serve organics. Now there are a
Are
few
they
like
evil?
3PO. No, they're just independent. They actually
Okay.
work with the rebellion at one point. They just don't have anything to do with anyone else. They're kind of doing their own thing. They work with Luke with the rebellion at one point when there's there's like a malicious AI that starts Borgifying things, if that makes sense, where it starts like just taking over everything that's robotic, but like turning into a
Hmm.
giant hive mind. And they help the
I think
rebellion destroy this thing.
I think I remember reading something about that a while back. Is I think one of the assassin droids, the one of the IG droids has something to do with it, right? Or am
Kind
I thinking of something else? It's been so long, I can't remember.
they kind of no, one of the IG units did get taken over, but no, it had something to do with Doctor Afro, who found a stupid fucking ancient AI thing and reawakened it and started trying to take over everything because it wanted to become organic, and it took over a lot of droids until it found like cyborgs and then started experimenting on like cyborgs to try and like splice its way into being organic, and
Uh,
like even try to take over Vader, but it didn't work because it was Vader and he just fucking destroyed the chip things that they try to use to take over him with the Force.
I really hate when their only thing to do is like, oh, evil AI. Why can't there ever be like a situation where the AI isn't evil? They just want to live, kind of like how the Geth are in Mass Effect. where they're not evil, they're just trying to live, and when they gain sentience, they just defended themselves. Why can't it just be like, oh, we can coexist, but if you try to kill us, we're gonna fight back to preserve ourselves. I feel like that's like it's like aren't you tired of seeing like, oh, aliens are evil, the movie? Why can't it be like a rival where the aliens are like nice and benevolent? They don't want to start anything. They just want to communicate with us. Shit like that.
You do get that. There's a Spielberg movie called Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah,
And
I've seen it. Yeah,
that's pretty much just what you're describing. Men in Black kind of has that too, where it's like, they're not evil, they're just there. They're just
yeah.
other people. And Star Wars has that too a lot. But now, moving on from Solo.
What was this one? Resistance?
So, next, no, don't worry about Resistance. What we're going to do, actually, you know what? Resistance. We'll do Star Wars Resistance, which
I haven't seen that one.
I'm putting at F. It's my only F tier thing. And you know why it's at F?
Huh?
Because it is barely Star Wars. It doesn't have anything to do with anyone at all. It should have been like to the sequel era what Rebels was to the original era.
The First Order.
Yeah, it kind of introduces other bits of the First Order. It should have been what Clone Wars was to the prequels, right? That's what it should have been for the
God,
sequels.
that would have been so cool.
That's what
I would have
it
loved.
should have been, but it wasn't.
I would have loved to see like how the First Order came to power, stuff with the First Order, because I really like the First Order. They have like such a cool like design scheme for like for
The
like Captain
stormtroopers and stuff.
Phasma and like the stormtroopers and stuff like that.
Dude,
They're
Rebels Resistance tries. It tries to introduce this, but it kind of has this weird, like, it feels like reading a young adult novel, right?
Mhm.
If that makes sense. Like the ones you read when you were like 12 and thought were really edgy. It kind of feels like that, but it was written by somebody who doesn't get it. So they can't even make it feel edgy. It just kind of feels like kids. All the characters feel like kids doing kids things. The animation's really cool. That
was
is
it
a good
geared
point.
towards kids?
I mean, it wasn't Disney Plus, but the reason I put it so low is because Rebels and Clone Wars exist.
Yeah.
Because neither of that. Because okay, let me put it like this: both Rebels and Clone Wars, neither of them talk down to kids. So they are kind of more aimed at kids, but they don't talk down to kids.
Yeah, Clone Wars.
They don't
Clone
say
Wars,
like, "Oh, this is for kids,
Clone
so we're
Wars
gonna make it kiddie."
was arguably more violent than what I understand Rebels to be.
It was, but like think of it like Rebels was a small like band, so it was like a found family type story who were like building up into the rebellion, right? So they weren't doing like outright big battles. They weren't part of Gorman. They weren't part of like the scary parts of the rebellion. Not yet, anyway. They would go on to fight in some of the biggest battles, but or at least some of them. Ezra never did, but that's because Ezra was lost. Kanan dies, and in kind of a brutal way.
Yeah, I've seen the scene.
Yeah, so he gets like straight up, he gets blown up, and it's really tragic.
Yeah, it really sucks that he never got to see his kid. I mean, maybe he'll come back as a Force ghost or something.
Maybe.
That'd be cool.
But Resistance doesn't do any of that. It feels like it talks down to everyone. It feels kind of kiddie. It feels too soft. It introduces pirates, but like every other Star Wars show that introduces pirates, either has them be like Hondo Ohnaka, like you see in Rebels and in Clone Wars, and he's like chaotic, but he's a pirate, so he will steal shit, he'll betray people, he will be a pirate. And this kind of has them being like soft and dorky enemy of the week. Even fucking Skeleton Crew doesn't do that.
Yeah, even Skeleton Crew
pirates,
had, like,
and they're fucking scary.
Yeah, scary pirates.
This Resistance is F tier because it talks down and it feels too like it because it feels like it's targeted towards like say 12 to 13-year-olds. It feels like it talks down to them too much.
Okay.
like the art style and everything about it would appeal to like 12 to 13-year-olds. But then you start watching, you're like, this feels like it's geared towards 6-year-olds, and even then, it's bad. And I'm like,
Does
this
it
should have
tell?
been the sequel's version of Clone Wars. I couldn't even finish season 2, dude. I watched season 1 and I was like, okay, well, whatever. Then I watched season
How
2
many
and I was
seasons
like,
are there?
eh, this 2. It only lasted 2 seasons.
Oh, it's crazy. Oh, damn.
Okay, so
Did it manage to say something interesting
no,
that contributed to the First Order story, or?
not really. It just was like, there's also, you know how Phasma Silver? There's also a gold trooper who dies
Oh,
and doesn't do anything important for the overall story anyway. Like, oh my god.
oh. Well, that sounds bad. Well, really bad. Disappointment, really. Well, on to the thing that's not a disappointment. Visions. S tier.
Star Wars Visions is fucking S tier. It's S tier for me, and the reason it's S tier is because it's so alive. It's got so
Yeah.
much to it that it doesn't feel like it's restricting itself. It doesn't feel locked down to a single type of story. It shows everything, and it's amazing.
Why don't you tell the people that are listening what Visions is?
So Visions is its collection of animated shorts, right? It's anthology. Nothing's linked to each other, but each thing kind of builds its own world, and each one of these little stories has a very different take. And because they're the first season is entirely anime studios, so they're all Japanese takes on like how Star Wars would work and how it would feel, and it's
Hmm.
beautiful in its own way.
Yeah, the one that I remember fondly is the samurai one with the Sith, the
So
two
that's
Siths
that.
fighting.
Yeah, that was the first. That was the very first one. That got its own novel. So there's a novel of what
That's
happens
good.
after the novel. I've read the novel. It's great. It's a
It
whole
got
story,
received. It was received so well that it got a novel. That's cool.
but and also the novel, the Ronin novel, is very good, but it also builds a different world of Star Wars. It's not Star Wars like we know it. It's its own thing. It's still Star Wars, so there's Sith, there's Jedi, but not the way we knew them. It's a very
Yeah.
different interpretation, and I really like that. There's the Ninth Jedi, which has like lightsaber building is something you need artisans to do, and it's amazing. And I love the way it's animated and it's created. And then season 2 got even more creative because they opened it to the world for animation studios, right?
Hmm. So I only got
And
like halfway through season two. The ones that I really liked was the Aardman one, obviously the people that
yeah,
made Wallace and
so
Gromit,
that's a very
and
British take on it.
yeah,
So it's a British
uh,
take on like how
yeah,
that would feel, and I loved it.
it was really sweet. And the other one
I
being the one where the kids go into the Screecher's Reach.
yes,
Um, and it's just like it's animated so beautifully. And when that Sith witch comes out, and it's all like penciled, and then the light comes in, and she's like an old scared woman, and then like the owl looking angel lady comes, and she's like, oh, she looks so cool. Oh, she's a Sith. Oh, oh, so the kid is leaving her friends behind. Oh no. It's like it's I saw so many people uh say like that was probably like the saddest ending to one.
I like that they did it. I'm a bit sad you didn't get to Owl's Song because that one is the one that was made by Triggerfish, which is a South African studio, and it's my favorite from season 2. It's also Lindy's favorite. We both fucking love it. It's got some amazing music, and like the way they approach the Force is very African. And I'm not kidding because I've got like African friends and stuff, so I know they have a very different way of seeing a lot of spirituality stuff, and seeing the South African or the African way of approaching the Force was just really fucking cool to me. And like the respect and feeling they gave it was very unique, especially
Hmm.
within the context of Visions, because Visions was all over the place with very different storylines. And I just thought it was a really beautiful way of approaching the Force. So Visions to me is just one of the coolest and it's just one of the coolest things because it has so many new approaches and ways of seeing things that are classically Star Wars and always presented in a very specific way by Lucasfilm,
Hmm.
and then seeing them as covered by people outside of that and showing how they approach and feel about it is really, really cool. And it's very interesting to see how interpretations of something that everyone knows is very, very
Yeah,
cool.
and it really fuels my desire for new like mainline Star Wars media to not be so like restrictive when it comes to uh the canon stuff. Uh, so much so that it restricts like the artistic vision, much like how, like you said, like the Visions does really well when it's not like being so restrictive.
Yeah,
Like I would love to see like something in the vein of like the Ronin one from the first one, or like the
yeah,
Screecher's Reach in the season 2. I would love to see something like that in like in a show or like a movie.
yeah. I mean, my
Much,
personal
much.
favorites was Ninth Jedi, which, or even my other favorite from season one was what was it called? Fuck it. Village Bride, which was the one which kind of has a Jedi in hiding, and she comes out to save these villagers who are being oppressed by like some pirates who got some B1 battle droids, and it's just really, really cool.
Oh, okay. I think I remember seeing that one a long time ago. Looks really nice. Also, there's an episode in season 1 that was done by the people who animated was it Gurren Lagann?
Yes, it was good on.
Yeah.
It was also Kill la Kill.
Yeah, Kill la Kill. Yeah. That one was really good too.
That was really fun. It was very different.
It was really like really crazy. You get like a Jedi and a Sith fighting in space. Uh it's like fucking hardcore, like tons and tons of lightsabers and shit. It was really crazy. It's like Asura's Wrath, but with Jedi when it comes to like how crazy it could get. Um, but yeah, Star Wars should have more visionary type projects like Andor
Yeah,
and
and
Visions.
Visions is just like opening it up. It also, I feel like Star Wars is a show that should have voices from around the world because it's
Hmm.
got such a big story. It shouldn't they? I feel like they should make an effort to find storytellers who aren't just Americans, which is
Yeah,
currently what a lot of these are. It's just Americans telling stories, and I feel like it would open up Star Wars so much more if they had like something that was made by I don't know, a French director or a German director or a fucking Argentinian or a Brazilian director or writer, and they put a very unique twist and feel to Star Wars that makes it feel more like it's bigger than it is. It doesn't have very
yeah.
it doesn't follow like Hollywood rules. It also maybe give Donnie Yen a fucking Star Wars to himself.
What has he done,
Put him.
Donnie
Hmm?
Yen?
Donnie
What has
Yen
Donnie
was
Yen done?
Chirrut Imwe.
Oh yeah.
So
I
he
didn't.
does. So Donnie Yen does Hong Kong action movies. If you've ever
Oh
seen
yeah.
Ip Man or something like that, yeah, you give a Star Wars movie where they do dueling and fighting. Give a Star Wars light a Jedi movie to a Hong Kong production or to a Hong Kong writer and director, right?
Yeah.
Let them do the action. Let them do the story.
I felt like Acolyte kind of did some of that, at least with the fight scenes.
It did.
Um,
So that's why that we'll get to
but
that.
not
But
like fully, not like fully.
it didn't send
Um,
to it.
yeah, I would love to see like some Jedi doing like some more hand to hand like physical stuff instead of just lightsaber on lightsaber fights. That's one thing that I really loved about the Gendy Tartakovsky Clone Wars was we saw like Mace Windu like going hand to hand against battle droids.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
No, that was fun. But see, we need more of that kind of opening up all of Star Wars to more people. Next, we have the
Hmm.
thing that kind of brought Star Wars back. Because I believe this
Young
came
Jedi.
no, and I haven't seen it. If we're doing Young Jedi, I
Yeah.
actually, you know what? Let's get Young Jedi out the way. I haven't seen it. I don't know anything about it. I
Yeah.
just know it's meant for like much younger kids. I haven't seen it. I know it's in the High Republic. So it's the same. It's at apparently the same kind of era as the Acolyte, a little bit
Hmm.
before, maybe. But it's I've never seen it. All I know is it's High Republic. I don't know anything else about it besides that. I have no interest in
All right.
watching it really because I'm really not the target audience, so I'm probably not going to watch it because it's not directed for. It's not like directed at me, and I don't feel like I would enjoy it. So I don't want to go watch something and get like pissy about it and then rant about it one day if it's not for me. It wasn't designed for me. I shouldn't watch it. It doesn't matter.
You're gonna be
Now,
like fucking critical drinker making a video like how horrible this Star Wars baby show is. Uh, but speaking of baby, Mandalorian, I put that in S tier. I watched it when it first came out. I thought it was like the best thing that Star Wars has done. I think that was the first Star Wars like related show that they did for Disney Plus, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
AC could
The
probably correct
Mandalorian
me if
was
I'm wrong.
it was the first one, but The Mandalorian only gets a B from me, and it would have been an A, but
Really?
it gets knocked down to B because season 3 was dog shit. Season 3 also
Yeah.
all the okay, so it because season 3 pisses me off so much because all the good emotional stuff that should have happened with Din Djarin and Grogu happened in Book of Boba Fett for some fucking reason. So all the
Also,
good
we
stuff
got
that should have been this good, powerful, emotional catharsis happened in a
sorry
different
to
fucking
stop
show.
you real quick, AC. We have 4 more minutes on the recording before I have to start another one.
Do you want
So
to just
just go ahead
restart
and
it?
I'll let you know.
Okay. So yeah, Mandalorian season 3 drops the ball. It destroys. It get like season 2 ends on like one of the best emotional scenes. It has the Luke Skywalker rescue, which is fucking amazing.
Yeah,
It genuinely gets you hyped every time you watch it because they build up so much good drama
the Dark
with these
Troopers.
Mandalorians with the Mandalorians trying to take this Imperial ship, them almost succeeding, then the Dark Troopers coming for them, and like it being shown that Din Djarin barely managed to kill one of them, and now
Yeah,
there's like a horde of them coming, and so everyone's like, okay, we're gonna fucking die, but like they did it, they got this far, and now they're in trouble, and the like Luke appearance is so it's because it's paced so well as well within the story, and the fact that you also see Gideon like panic when he realizes what
yeah,
that Luke has arrived, and the fact that like builds Luke up so well, and the fact and like the way he just takes everything down, it like builds up Luke so well and shows him as like this Jedi in his prime, and going, this is what the galaxy was missing. These are why the Jedi were peacekeepers, because when a
hmm,
Jedi pitched, even if you built your super weapon droid, they would take them down and they would stop the stuff you're doing. That's why Palpatine had to kill all of them, because if one Jedi can do this, imagine what it was like when there were thousands of them, and they would
yeah. If the Jedi
and
like formed an army to try to take back the Republic, that would
yeah.
be
So
really bad news.
so and also having young Luke appear is just such a good way to like talk to the fans, and then didn't take off his
Minus the
helmet. Like,
the weird face that Luke has because of
I mean, because
the
it's
deep
mostly
fake
because the
was
technology
really
wasn't
weird.
quite right. It wasn't quite ready, and there was some things happening, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't mind it because the scene that builds up to it is so good. So I'm like, it's fine. And then having Din Djarin take off his helmet and have this deep emotional scene where he has to take off his helmet to say goodbye to Grogu, and then you follow it up with it's done. He's met Grogu again next season. Like, imagine being someone who's a casual fan,
Yeah.
right? You just like the Mandalorian. You're not going to go watch Book of Boba Fett. You like the Mandalorian, and then and then you go watch season 3. You'll be like, why the fuck is he with is Grogu with him again? What the fuck is going on? And then
Yeah.
also it ruins Book of Boba Fett because a story for fans of Boba Fett who fucking love Boba as a character, right? And loved him
Hmm.
from EU and liked him in the original. And then you get this. You're like sitting here like, why is this
And
become
yeah,
Mandalorian
and in the Clone
2.5? Like,
Wars
what the
too. He
fuck?
was in a couple of episodes of the Clone
Yeah.
Wars.
And he was good in those. He was interesting in those.
All right, 1 second. I'm just gonna stop the recording. We will be right back, people that are listening on Spotify. One
Yeah,
second.
Spotify listeners, give us a second.
All right, give us that
Okay.
exclusive, AC. What were you
So
gonna
the
say?
exclusive little thing. So I'm joking. Anyway, the thing with as a tiny little exclusive. Everyone's listening, right? Everyone's listening, right?
Yes.
Book of Boba Fett should have been better. They should
Yeah.
have focused on all. They should have just focused on Boba and not done anything. Sorry, Mandalorian pisses me off because of season 3. Season 1 and 2 of Mandalorian have so much good character work that builds up Din and Grogu as like this really good like combination of characters.
Yeah, you could really tell that Din really loves and cares for Grogu during like their whole character development that there, and it really pays off in the third season when he's like, "Yeah, Grogu's my son. I adopt him, as is the way,"
Yeah,
and I do wish that we got the explanation as to why Grogu is just suddenly there. Um, if you guys didn't watch Book of Boba Fett, it's just explained that uh, Grogu made the decision to go back to Jin
Din,
because
not
Jin, or
Jin.
yeah, the man
Jin is
Jin
from Rogue One.
Jin Din Djarin,
Din,
the
yes,
Mandalorian, Mando, whatever. I'll just call him Mando.
yeah,
Where Mando has a really cool chainmail Beskar thing made by the armorer. Who the armor is really cool. I will say that, really fucking cool.
yeah.
She makes it. Mando goes to deliver it to Grogu, and then Ahsoka's there, and she like tells him, if
That's also
Grogu
another
sees
thing.
you, it's
Actually, you know what? That
but
scene. Okay, wait. We'll talk about that scene in a second. Let's. Okay, Mandalorian, B tier. Season 3 fucked it. It was good until it got there. Now we're going to talk about Book of Boba Fett. Since we've been talking about Book of Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett, C tier. Should have been higher, isn't, because they fucked it by making it basically just Mandalorian 2.0 and like 2.5. Sorry, it's 2.5. It's Mando season 2.5. Like 3 episodes of Book of Boba Fett have nothing to do with Boba whatsoever. He doesn't even appear in them. It just fucking shows Din and his weird struggle. Then it turns into like a thing that should have been in the fucking Ahsoka series and having the meeting between Luke and Ahsoka, which is something that also should have been treated as like a big moment because this is Luke's son, Anakin's son,
Luke's son.
meeting his shut up. It's not Ben Skywalker. Shush. But it's
Also, I
Anakin's
put it
son
in A
meeting
for
his.
me.
You're kinder than
Go ahead.
me. It's in C for me. But it's showing Anakin's son meeting Anakin's Padawan. It should have had a whole episode to itself in Ahsoka because it should be this big moment that's very important to these two characters because Ahsoka was important because both of them were important to Anakin, and
Hmm.
Ahsoka knew Anakin as Anakin, not as
Yeah.
Vader, not as and she also knew his mother. She knew Padme, and they don't have any of that kind of. They don't give it that much weight. It's just kind of a thing of, oh look, Ahsoka's here too. Okay,
I
but then
I will
like
I
why?
will say I agree. I wish there was more like more familiarity and more like, oh man, Ahsoka's really close with Anakin, so she's obviously going to be close with Luke, his son, right? But there's like barely anything
It's
like that.
they
On
barely
terms
interact.
of like on terms of like the Boba Fett thing, I really do like how Boba went from being the bounty hunter to like trying to be a better person. If you guys didn't know, Boba does make an appearance in Mandalorian to get his armor back from Mando, and he basically comes back, kills the Twi'lek that was taking over
Bib Fortuna.
for Jabba,
Yeah, kills
and
Bib
take
Fortuna,
and
who worked
yeah.
for Jabba, and yeah, he takes over as like the boss of Tatooine. But even
Hmm.
that was they didn't commit to it, and they made Boba look like weak and kind of pathetic because there are a bunch of times where he would like just walk in the street, and then people would just come and like when you meet him in Mando season 2, right? Let me
Hmm.
preface this first. He beats the shit out of some stormtroopers. This man is terrifying,
Yeah,
right?
he's really
He's
badass in
he's
season
like
2.
really fucking. You can see why he'd be seen as one of these like big, powerful bounty hunters. And then you get to his own series, and he's kind of a fucking pussy. He gets like hit twice, and then is like completely knocked down, and like doesn't fight properly. And I'm like, what the fuck? You gave him this amazing scene, this other thing, and now he's kind of just like wimpy for some reason. And I'm like, this is just for plot, so you don't have to use Tamara Morrison. I don't understand why they did this. It was a really stupid choice and made Boba seem kind of pointless. In
And
fact, they give
it's
Fennec
really
Shand better stuff than Boba. And I'm
it's
like,
really crazy because Tamora Morrison came out recently that uh he wants to come back, and he even like have him be like a clone trooper in season 2
he
of
wants to do
Ahsoka. Have him
Rex.
be
No, he
Rex.
wants to
Have
be
him be
Rex. He
Rex.
wants to be Rex. And I'm like, fuck yeah, bring Tamara Morrison back for Rex. I want to see Rex and Anakin talk. I want to see Hayden Christensen and Tamara Morrison talk as Anakin and Rex. I want to see those characters interact. Like outside of just the animated versions, because those are very important to each other.
Yeah. I will agree with you that they do make Boba seem look really weak in the show. The one thing that I absolutely love was his relationship to the Tusken Raiders in before he goes back to get his armor. I
Yeah.
thought that was really nice. It's just expanding on more of the Tusken Raiders that was touched upon in Mandalorian when Mando was like talking with them and conversing with them to take down the Great Dragon. Um, it's just more world building that I think is really nice. Basically, showing that the Sand People aren't all like crazy bloodthirsty killers that Anakin killed in was it Attack of the
Episode 2.
Clones or Revenge of the
Yeah.
Sith, or yeah,
Attack of the
episode
Clones.
2. Um, I thought that was cool. It was really showing that Boba did have some sort of familiar family connection with them, and when they get killed by the Spice People, he just like goes fucking crazy. That was cool. I will agree with you that it should have been better. Um, I do like the fight scene in town when Mando comes in because Boba just asks for a favor. I wish
Yeah.
that I will agree with you that I wish that the Mando stuff didn't take up like 2 or 3 episodes. I wish it
Mando should have been
was
a cameo.
yeah
He should have
yeah
just
it
been a
should have
cameo. In
yeah
fact, they should have not
he should have
explained
just
fucking anything about Mando at all. Like when he turned up, it literally should have been just like as a hologram, then he appears in the show. Like
yeah
it should have been like Boba asking him for a favor because he helped him before, and then he pitches. Like that should have
yeah
been like anytime Mando's on screen should have been when he's with Boba.
hmm
Like it should have been always focused on Boba, and then like when it actively shows Mando appearing, it's because Boba asked him to be there, and he's doing a favor because he's showing that he's this honorable dude, right? So he
yeah
pitches, and he's just like, and you're like, okay, awesome. We've got we've got Boba, and he's asking for help. So that's why Mando's here. It's not because Mando took over a series and we have to know everything that Mando was doing. It's like no, we don't need to know fucking anything about what Mando was doing in the book of Boba Fett. If you want to tell us what, and then if they wanted to tell us what Mando was doing in that time, put it in Mandalorian season 3. Put all of that emotional stakes in Mandalorian season 3, and don't show us shit in other shows. Like hint at it. Don't tell us. Don't show us in someone else's story. We don't care. We didn't come here for fucking Mando's story. Show us in his
It's
when we go to for his story.
it's really crazy because I'm looking back at the Mandalorian show, and Boba Fett appears in season 2 of that one, and when they go to get Bo-Katan to help, and there's that little scene in the bar, and Bo-Katan's like, "Oh, you're a clone. I've heard your voice thousands, hundreds of times, and you're not fit to wear that armor." And Boba's like, "This armor was my father's, and now it's mine." Um, Basically showing that even though he technically is a clone, he still he had real love for his dad, and in turn Django did love him too, even though he was a clone. um and the scene when he's showing his chain code to Mando on the planet right after they've just like
In season
after
2,
they've
yeah.
repelled after they've repelled the stormtroopers, and like, my father was a foundling, just like you, and stuff like that. Some really good character moments that um, that expand on Boba and Django. I can't really
Yeah.
remember something like that happening in Book of Boba Fett.
No, they put all of it into like this one episode of
I mean,
season
minus
2
the
and then
Tusken
nothing
Raider
else.
stuff.
Yeah, but I'm like,
That's not.
why
Yeah,
didn't you put it where it belongs? It's just infuriating.
yeah. They could have. They really could have just taken out those 2 episodes that brought the Mandalorian and just gave them to Boba Fett. Um, to basically flesh out some more of his character. It would have been cool to have like a flashback with Django, just Tamora Morrison playing Django and then someone else playing young Boba, just like
Yeah.
to really ride home the fact that Django did really love Boba. Um, but yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I'm putting it in B tier.
Yeah. It lost so much. Okay, next. Kenobi.
I did like Cad Bane coming and then Boba killing him.
Yeah, no, that was
That was
cool. But
cool.
like I said, that was like the last episode where you got to be like badass Boba was just the last episode, and that was infuriating. That makes me more angry
Yeah.
about it. Anyway, next.
Okay. Obi-Wan
Kenobi,
Kenobi.
C tier.
Uh,
It's not good. Actually, Book of Boba Fett, because of the Mandalorian thing, is actually going down to D tier for me. That's how annoyed I am at it. I'm like, it started
uh,
good and then lost it, and then because of the Mandalorian thing, it just dips down more. So Kenobi only makes C
I'm
tier because I've seen the Patterson cut of it, and because Ewan McGregor was so like keen on doing it. But it still also feels like another thing where Disney kind of forced a story they wanted that felt like it would be good for PR, and I'm like, it could have just been its own story. So the Reva story feels like something that should have been its own story without Obi-Wan involved.
I put it
It
in
should
B
have
tier
been.
for me.
That's fair enough,
Go
but
ahead.
it still feels like something where Reva herself should have been a character who Reva felt like a character who should have had her own show,
I honestly
and
don't
she should have
remember. I don't
she was
remember a
like,
lot about what happens with Reva outside of that she survived Order 66
yeah.
and she fought Vader in the hangar and gets
So
killed by.
I I recently did a rewatch of Kenobi because I was like, it can't have been that bad. It was still bad, but like watching it, I get the feeling that Reva would have fit better as a character who had her own story. If she was in her own story, I think the story she was in would have been really good if they'd left Obi-Wan out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because she has a compelling story to tell. But the fact that they
Yeah,
put it in
survive. Yeah,
Kenobi kind of
surviving Order 66 and wanting
and
to
then like
basically get revenge on Vader.
and then infiltrating the Inquisitors to get revenge on Vader is a good story. The problem is you put it in Kenobi and no one gives a fuck about that story if you've got Obi-Wan there.
Yeah,
Nobody gives a fuck. They don't want that. That's why people like were like weirdly racist and stuff. And I've been thinking about it, and the more I think about it, I'm like, it's not the actress's fault. The character was fine. She's a fine character. The way she was
Good
acting was fine.
motivation.
Good motivation. Everything about it is good, but they put her in a really stupid fucking place. And I'm like, okay, this would have been good if it had been its own, like, a Vader exclusive story, right? So, say
Yeah,
they'd made it about an Inquisitor trying to kill Vader. That would be a really interesting story. Leave out the Obi-Wan thing and have it be this Inquisitor slowly, like, trying to drag Vader into a confrontation where she can kill him. That's a really interesting story. But do they do that? No. Do they?
yeah,
Fuck. They choose to make it this weird, edgy thing with Obi-Wan. And I'm like, Obi-Wan's story as well, he's never, I don't think he should have left Tatooine. I do like the bond he had with Leia, and that was cool.
mm-hmm.
But I don't think he should have left Tatooine. I think his whole story should have been like this introspective thing where he's trying to move past his grief and his, like, he's going from being episode 3 Obi-Wan to episode 4 Obi-Wan. He's working through that trauma to understand himself, and he's like working through it with Qui-Gon. It should have been a much more character driven story.
Yeah,
Maybe even have the story center around him defending the Lars farm from, like, you could, if you wanted Inquisitors and lightsaber duels, you could have that. You could even have the Obi-Wan Anakin duel or Obi-Wan Vader duel, but have it be this Force vision that Obi-Wan keeps having in his head, where he keeps running through that and trying to find a scenario in his head where he didn't have to do that. We didn't have to hurt, where maybe he kills Anakin to end things, or where he lets Anakin win, or where he keeps running through scenarios in his head to get through that trauma, instead of taking him off planet to go on some pointless adventure where he has to save Leia from basically the same problem twice and, like, re-find his connection to the Force. I'm like, it was never even hinted in any other media that he ever lost his connection. They're just like, hey, he lost his connection, so that's the reason this nonsense is happening. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, that's a stupid place to start. I don't
The
like it.
reason being it's B tier for me is strictly the Ian McGregor came back to do
Ewan
Obi-Wan,
McGregor.
and
Ewan.
the Ewan McGregor, and the stuff with Vader slash Anakin. Like the first fight was really cool, and then the second fight on the planet was just like excellent. Um, that's it. I don't really remember much about the Leia story, um, or like Riva story outside of the fight with Vader in like the hangar and like her surviving Order 66. Honestly, they could have just cut out all the stuff with Riva and just kept like the Obi-Wan shit in, and maybe it would have been better. Um, but yeah, the only thing putting it, not me putting it lower, is the Vader and Obi-Wan stuff.
Yeah, no, but, like, I like that, but I also feel like it shouldn't have been a physical thing where they actually meet. I
Yeah,
I feel like it should
I
have
can
been a
see.
spiritual, like,
I,
clashing, if that
yeah,
makes sense.
I can see your take on it being implemented, and I would have liked that too.
I like, it could have easily been an S tier show, but they didn't fucking. It just felt like they didn't put effort into the character of any of the characters. They didn't put, like, enough love or care, and they also chose, like, a really bland place for the Obi-Wan and Vader's, like, last duel. It's just like a bunch of weird rocks, and I'm like, it would have been
Yeah,
cooler if they'd, like, had the duel back on Mustafar, have him end up back on Mustafar to save Leia again. They were on, like, the moon, the other moon of Mustafar, when he went to the Inquisitor base. I'm like, you motherfucker, you could have had this, so you drag him back to his like, the place where he became Darth Vader, and that's where they have that duel. You could have even forced it to be on the same beach, on that same place where Anakin burned and became what he became.
yeah,
And they were like, let's not do that. There would have been so much more interesting symbolism if they'd gone back to where that last duel had happened, with Vader having this intention of, like, reclaiming that place as his own, and that's where he has his greatest victory and so on, right? But they
yeah.
don't do that, and I don't understand why.
Honestly, like the most memorable part of the movie is most definitely the final fight with
Yeah.
Obi-Wan and Vader. Um, just Obi-Wan finally getting his full power back, fighting Vader to like a standstill, messing up his helmet, and you hear his Vader voice and his Anakin
And
voice
Anakin like laid
mixing in
over
and
each
out
other.
from each other, and like the speech he gives, like, "You didn't kill Anakin, Obi-Wan, I did." That like fucking gives me chills, and it's like, then true, my friend is truly gone. Shit like that. Yeah, it could have been way better. B tier for me. You have any
Yeah,
closing thoughts on it?
should have been better. Why do you guys hate cool characters? Anyway, the next one we're doing is Tales of the Jedi, which A
Uh,
tier.
yeah,
Like I said, my S
I
tier
don't
is really fucking
remember,
hard.
I don't remember much outside of the Count Dooku one, and I don't
I
really.
remember all of Dooku. I remember Ahsoka taking down an Inquisitor with nothing but her hands. I
Oh
remember
yeah,
her
that one.
training against all the against clones, and as like an explanation of how Anakin used to train her and how that like basically forged her into someone who would survive Order 66. And there was some just cool shit happening. I
That was
I,
in
I
this one.
really digged it.
I thought that one was in. I
No,
thought
that
that
was in this
one
one.
was in the Clone Wars, the last season.
No, it was in Tales of the Jedi.
Ah, okay. I just completely blocked out the Ahsoka stuff.
It has her
Count
like
Dooku,
training.
Count
Dooku's
Dooku's
stuff was amazing.
Dooku,
Dooku's
yeah,
stuff
was
was so
amazing.
good. But like
With
Tales of the
him,
Jedi was probably the
yeah,
best one they've done so far for the
yeah.
Tales of.
It
The
it
next,
it
yeah.
it just makes Dooku so much of a tragic character. He was fully
Hmm.
on board with the Jedi, but then like the cracks started to form. Like when he went on that mission with Qui Gon, how corrupt the official was, and how easily he would kill the people that he was sworn to protect, and then how the Jedi didn't take Qui Gon's assessment of what happened in Phantom Menace when he fought Darth Maul, and which eventually led to him dying, and Dooku basically being like, the Jedi don't want to protect anyone. I'm gonna go with the Sidious dude, Yaddle. Uh, I have to kill you now.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. Also enjoyed hearing like Liam Neeson reprise his role as Qui
Yeah,
Gon. Apparently, he's just always down to do Qui Gon. Every single time Qui Gon has appeared in any media, it has been voiced or acted by Liam Neeson. He
I
was
think
in
that's
the Clone
cool.
Wars in the Mortis arc. They meet Qui Gon.
Hmm.
Liam Neeson did the voice. When he appears for fucking in season 6, when he appears before Yoda, it was also voiced by Liam Neeson.
And then he appears at the end of Obi-Wan
He appears
Kenobi.
as Obi-Wan, that was him. And then in Tales of the Jedi, he voiced him again to talk to Dooku. It's just really cool. Okay,
Also,
on
I didn't
yeah,
know if you knew this, but the younger version of Qui Gon was played by his son.
that I didn't, but that's really really cool. I should have looked that up, but I didn't for some reason.
All right, A
Let's see.
tier, Ahsoka. Uh,
Ahsoka is B tier for me, but top of B tier. But it
I
it's
think it's A tier for me.
it's mostly because I have very high standards, and I'm like, I adore Ahsoka, right?
Hmm.
It is I love it, but it like holds a lower place in my heart than some of the other things I've seen. And you know what? Actually, I'm putting it A tier. I do really love it, but
I like that they brought back Hugh Yang, voiced by
Hugh
David
Yang,
Tennant.
yeah, I did like seeing Hugh Yang come back and like having him talk about lightsabers and be like a useful, active character in it. Who also is just one of the coolest droids you've ever seen in Star Wars. He's just so
Yeah,
cool.
and he was practical too. At least in certain parts, he was practical, which was really it's always nice. I really love that Hayden Christensen came back to do Anakin in the later half of the season when he's like training Ahsoka again, and Ahsoka like turning back to when she was like younger, and it made me realize that the Jedi were employing kids in their war, which really made me feel a little bit iffy about it. But Anik or Hayden Christensen really playing up the Clone Wars version of Anakin and not like the prequel version. Like personality and character wise was really nice. Um, I like that Hera came back. It was really cool to see that Kanan has a son that, if I remember correctly, was like really in tune with the Force. Obviously, because Kanan's son. But I think he was able to sense Kanan there, or like Ahsoka being there or something. I can't
Yeah.
remember. Um, what really stood out to me was the Sith dude. I forgot his name. That Ahsoka fights. I forget. I feel bad that I forget his name. But he was like the standout favorite in the season. That the actor unfortunately passed away, and they had
Oh,
to
Balin
recast him.
Skull. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
Balin
was
Skull.
so he his actor passed away and was recast as the Hound from Game of Thrones.
Oh, that's cool. I
So
really like the
apparently
Hound.
apparently he's doing his best to like match the energy that Ray Stevenson brought.
Hmm.
So I'm quite excited to see how he does as like the same character.
Yeah. All right. Where did you put? You said you put it at A, right?
Yeah, it's an A.
Okay. Do you have anything to say about it?
Nothing more about Ahsoka other than it was really fucking cool to see Hayden Christensen as Anakin post Vader, so like redeemed Anakin on screen and talking to somebody important to him.
Yeah.
I still want to see him talk to Luke, but seeing him talk to Ahsoka was just as cool, and seeing him like force her to confront her own like insecurities was pretty cool. As for the
Bad
rest, it was
Batch. Oh,
Bad
go ahead.
Batch. Bad Batch is going at a high B. It's about the same as Rebels for me.
I put it at A tier. It's really cool seeing post post Revenge of the Sith how everything sort of transitioned into the Empire. There were still clone troopers being used, but they were slowly getting phased out to be replaced by the stormtroopers. How the clone troopers got phased out into the stormtroopers was interesting. That whole attack on Kamino, orchestrated by Palpatine, uh, by that uh, by that other high-ranking Empire official, basically saying like the fact that the clone troopers aided in this was disgusting and really makes me rethink their use in the Empire. Here are the stormtroopers. They're not clones. They're regular human beings that enlisted, stuff like that. Um, I like that it brought back Asajj Ventress in the
Uh,
last season.
yeah,
Um,
Ventress coming back was pretty cool. Especially that, but it was weird for me because I read the book where she died.
yeah, and that leads into was it Tales
Jedha.
of the Underworld?
Tales of the Underworld. Which
But
again,
yeah,
I'm just gonna
all
rank
of
Tales of the Underworld since we've mentioned it now as a yeah, it's also B tier.
I think it's an A tier for me. But Bad
That's
Batch,
fair.
going back on Bad Batch, I really liked every single member of the Bad Batch. I really wish Tech didn't die. Like
I like
when
that
he
the writers had the balls to kill him off and be
yeah
like, there's no take backs. He died, and
yeah
as much as it sucks and hurt that he died, it was pretty cool to know that they weren't gonna like try and save him or make a weird clone or something.
yeah. Really cool, really good show. Bad Batch was awesome, and it eventually ends with Omega joining the rebellion. I don't know what happens to the other members of the Bad Batch, but Hunter's still alive, and like
I
Thatcher is still
mean,
alive.
if you see at the age of like Rex in Rebels, you'll
Mm-hmm.
they just retired. They got too old because
Yeah,
clones have because those clones had accelerated aging. So when Rex was fighting in the Clone Wars, he looked like he was 60.
mm,
He was not. He was like in his late 40s, but he looked 60. He was
yeah.
actually in his like mid 40s probably.
So Tales of the Underworld, A for me. I really like the Cad Bane story and the Ventress story.
I
Um,
liked them, but it's still just B tier for me because it was kind of middle of the road stories for me. I was like, it was fine.
I kind of feel like I missed out on the Saz Ventress story because it just starts with her dying and being like put in in like some water back on Death. Was it Dathomir where the
Yeah,
Night Sisters lived?
Dathomir.
Yeah, Dathomir by Quaylen Voss and then Obi Wan. Apparently, it's like
Voss,
it takes place after like in the Saz Ventress book, and like
yes,
Voss
I've read the
and
books.
Ventress
Dooku,
and Voss
Dooku
were
killed her.
together.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
were together, and Dooku killed her. She died saving Voss from Ventress, from Dooku, and then
yeah,
he brought her back to Dathomir to say goodbye.
and then she revives or she comes back to life. I don't remember. Was there a downside to her coming back to life? She couldn't like use the Force or something, or something like that. I don't remember. Um, but I really wish it ended with Quinlan Voss and her meeting again. Uh,
I like that they
I hope.
didn't do
Yeah,
that because there's like a mystery for Voss disappearing and so on. And
yeah. I hope.
I like that. I like having that kind of mystery and having that like romance be like a thing they had, but they can't have anymore because it would be too dangerous to have that many Force users together and so on.
Yeah, I hope Ventress comes back and Voss comes back. Um, yeah, the Cad Bane one was really heartbreaking. Uh,
Yeah,
it just shows how much of an asshole he is at the end that he doesn't want to stay to raise his son. He just like fucks off.
yeah. Okay, Tales of the Empire.
I didn't manage to see that one. I know that
Oh,
Barris
it's a shame.
Offrey, I know that plays a part in it, and I think Thrawn plays a part in like some of the other
Yeah, but
episodes.
it's probably the most. It's not bad. It's just the most meh of the Tales of so far. Tales of the Empire by far was the most meh.
I was really
It
surprised
was
that they
fine.
brought Barris back after what happened in the Clone Wars with her being basically sent to prison after her bombing the temple.
She ended up as an Inquisitor, which tracks. But like, it's very just meh. Well, you watch it yourself and form your own opinion. But to me, it was eh. Okay, next Acolytes,
Acolyte.
which
I
is
think I
D.
think I
They
think
dropped
it's
the
an
ball.
A for me.
Okay,
Actually,
you've got a way
not
more generous opinion than me.
I think a B is like a good. I
Yeah, mine is a
think
D because they had some really cool ideas, and then
yeah.
they like kind of half-assed everything. The they took a few things that were like cool lore things, but to me felt like the kyber crystal bleeding felt like they just put it in there to be like, oh look, we've got a bleeding crystal. It didn't feel important enough to the character growth given what it was, and I didn't like that it just felt like an accident.
Mhm.
Like I kind of get that it could happen by accident given how it works, but I don't like that it was an accident. And I felt like, given especially which character ended up becoming the like acolyte Sith to the stranger, I also felt like that came a bit out of nowhere, given like a lot of the character bonds and stuff. I was like, I can kind of see it, but I also don't like the way they handled it. It just felt kind of forced to me.
Yeah. Uh yeah, I thought it was cool. Uh I thought the show was really cool. The fight scenes were really excellent, especially the Kamir fighting all the Jedi in the forest. Um, the one fight with Kamir and Soul
That
near
was
the
so
end.
cool. It was
That
so
was
good.
really fucking cool. Um, the Wookiee Jedi. I forgot his name, but when he fought the other Jedi in the flashback, that was really
Yeah,
cool. Uh, it just really shows how powerful Wookiees
Kalnaka.
are on their own, and especially if they're Jedi.
Yeah,
Um,
Master Kalnaka was cool, and he's reappeared in the High Republic comic book series. He's appeared, but like it's like 50 years before the start of the Acolyte. So I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, it's a younger Kolnaka. It's really cool seeing him because Wookiees are long lived. It's really super cool.
Yeah,
But like,
it makes me really wish that we get some follow up on the one Wookiee Jedi that was in Clone Wars and Bad Batch to see how where he is now. Uh, because so far that's him and like Konaka are like the only ones that we've seen. Um, but yeah, outside of the fight scenes, there's nothing really to write home about that I can remember off the top of my head. Um,
yeah, most of it was kind of just it happened, and like they had a cool idea, then would like go halfway with it, and I felt annoyed that they didn't like go far enough with half of the stuff that they did.
mhm. Yeah. I really wish we could have gotten a season two that basically did some of our gripes with it better.
Yeah,
Because it ends on like such a big cliffhanger with
yeah,
Plagueis looking out from the cave. Um, yeah, it just wasn't really received all that well. Uh, much to the chagrin and to the happiness of all the anti woke alt right YouTubers that made so much money off of hating on the show.
yeah. It
Uh,
was not that bad.
yeah,
It was a show. Skeleton Crew is a B for me. I
I think it's an A. It's an A most definitely for me.
eh,
I recently finished watching it because I never finished it outside of the episodes that we did when we first started the podcast when it first came out, like the watch-alongs.
yeah.
Um, and it was really nice. It was a really good ending. I feel like it ended a little bit abruptly. Um,
Yeah, me too.
yeah,
It felt like it set up something for like a season two, and then I don't know. It might apparently some of the characters appear in the new Mando movie that's coming out, so we'll see. We'll see where that goes because there's no news either way on Skeleton Crew yet.
yeah.
I liked
I
it. It
wasn't
was
I wasn't expecting the Jedi dude to be such an asshole.
I liked it because he felt like he was a pirate. He wasn't a Jedi.
Yeah.
He was someone who could have been a Jedi but never actually got a chance to be a Jedi.
Hmm. Yeah, because Order 66 and all that shit, and he basically grew up in the slums and had to basically.
Well, it's more he was found by Jedi after Order 66, and then she was killed before she could finish training him.
Yeah.
Like Inquisitors found her and killed her in front of him,
Yeah.
and then he like that's kind of what caused his like bitterness and need for just money and power.
Hmm.
Okay, next we're on to the sequels, the biggest set of makes people fucking angry movies. Force
Force
Awakens
Awakens. I think
is
it
B.
was a good start. It was a good start.
It was
Uh
fine. I've rewatched it and I'm like, it's fine.
yeah, past Force Awakens it kind of takes a nosedive. I
I
like.
I liked Last Jedi. You know what? See, Force Awakens was fine. It
Mhm.
was decent, but I think Last Jedi was better. Last Jedi is A tier for me.
Was it Force Awakens or Last Jedi where Kylo's basically saying like Rey is a nobody, her
It
parents
was
sold her
Last
for drinking
Jedi.
money?
So
Okay.
it was Last Jedi. I liked Last Jedi more than I liked Force Awakens. I'm not going to be ashamed if people shit on me for that because apparently the internet just fucking hates this movie for some reason. It challenged me. It does have some dumb shit in it. It does sideline Finn in a way that I think is detrimental to his character quite severely, but it sets up some cool stuff that is the reason why Rise of Skywalker goes alongside Resistance at F. Rise of
Well,
Skywalker is
I thought we were
dog
still
shit.
talking about Force Awakens.
Force Awakens is the most beautifully shot Star Wars film by a long shot. It is
Yeah.
extremely pretty. It challenges the viewers. It has Luke Skywalker showing a really fucking amazing moment where he goes out to face the First Order as like a force projection taking like a
Oh,
Jedi's way
you're
out of like.
you're talking about Rise of Skywalker. Wait, last Rise of Skywalker.
I'm talking about Last Jedi.
Or
Luke
last. Wait, last.
Skywalker walking out in front of. You're
Oh
mixing up
yeah,
the
that does
movies.
happen in Last Jedi. Right, right. I thought
Yes.
you were talking about Rise of Skywalker since you put Rise of Skywalker in F. I'm still on
Yeah.
Force
No.
Awakens. I really wish. Actually, no. What downsides do I have about Force Awakens? Ray was cool. Finn was cool. Poe was cool. Kylo Ren was cool at the beginning. Um, Han Solo, Chewbacca coming back, and Leia coming back was really cool. I just wish that going after Force Awakens kept some of the same like plot points. Like at the end, it's highly teased that Finn might be like force sensitive or like a Jedi. Um, but going on to the Last Jedi, I would put Last Jedi probably like a high B. I really do like the whole plot point with Rey being told by Kylo Ren that she's like nobody. Because the going into like the sequel trilogy, everyone was always saying like, "Oh, is like Rey gonna be like Obi Wan's like daughter, like secret daughter? Who is like Rey's father? Is it like a more prominent Jedi that we know of?" And no, it's just like her parents were no one. She's no one. She's basically no one, but she has this ability. She's like force sensitive, and she basically forms her own path into being a Jedi, into being like a good person, being part of the resistance and wanting to do good. Um I can't
Yeah.
remember I can't really remember much of Last Jedi outside of that. Was Last Jedi the one where it starts with Luke throwing the lightsaber and
Yeah.
being
Luke's
sad and
Luke kind
depressed?
of. He's kind of grumpy, and he's like lost his like idealism as an old man who's dealt with his nephew turning against him and destroying what he built. And like, I get what the story was doing. I enjoyed it. I liked that they were trying something different. They weren't just like following the
Yeah.
formula of most Star Wars movies. I liked it because I did like that they were trying to show that like war profiteers are just there to profit off all wars. They don't give a shit.
Hmm.
And I liked see and I like the idea of Ben Solo being fully dead and Kylo Ren is going fully for the dark side without any like way back.
Yeah.
And that was
Uh,
interesting to me.
one of the big points of the movie that I really liked was how far Luke fell from the original movies. Because in the original movies, he's like the most hopeful guy. He finds hope in Vader, even though Vader doesn't see that in himself. And then going that into Last Jedi, where it's like he's alone, he's a hermit, he's cut himself off from the Force. He's not really the hopeful guy that he used to be, because he tried building a Jedi school and teaching Jedi, and then he felt Han Solo's son Ben go down the path of the dark side,
He
and
felt
he
like
knows he knew how bad Vader was, and he didn't want Ben to be another Vader.
yeah.
So in an act of hope, of not really hopelessness, of not really thinking about it, of not really thinking it through, he goes to kill Ben and basically fucks everything up because he let the fear of another Vader coming to life dictate his actions. Um, and that just drove Ben over to the dark side even further. Um, I think that's really interesting. That's really cool. I really like when characters are basically flipped on their head and have to basically go through this journey to find the hope that they once had.
Mm.
Basically, the hero's journey. Um, I think that's really cool. That's I know a lot of people really hate how they characterized Luke. But I think it's really cool. I think it's really interesting. I think it's
Yeah.
probably like the best part in the movie because obviously to err is to human. Not every human is 100% hopeful, 100% like doing all the right thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's obviously shown when Luke tries to kill Ben. And moving on to the Rise of Skywalker, I would put that in C. Actually, no, I'd put that one in F. In F, definitely.
You're putting
The
Rise
fact
of
that
Skywalker in F. It
yeah,
like went back
the,
on everything. It went back on
yeah,
fucking everything that every other movie set up. It like had a really wonky payoff. It was just
dude, AC. Somehow Palpatine returned.
to be fair, how else do you explain that given also the fact that they brought back Palpatine was fucking stupid. They had a great
I
villain in
know.
Snoke. They had a great villain in Kylo Ren. They didn't have the balls to just keep using Kylo Ren as their bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
which is what the movie set up. And then they're like, no, we need a master manipulator. I'm like, oh my god, you fucking assholes. Then they also just kill Ben at the end. I'm like, I would have preferred Ben survived and has to live with the consequences of what he's done. Even if what ends up happening is he goes to prison and has to like atone for what he did in prison.
Yeah, that's interesting. And
I
but
prefer that.
then you get oh, Rey was secretly Palpatine's granddaughter. That's why she's so strong. Oh, Kylo was just lying that when he said that she was nothing her parents sold her for drinking money. And like, okay, well that kind of makes her less interesting. Now she just has another connection to some pre-established character. It was more interesting when she was like a no one. She just basically pulled herself up. She basically made her own decision to be a Jedi and a good person. Oh, but now that's all thrown away because she's Palpatine's granddaughter.
Yeah, and then people are like, oh, she, and now a lot of if you bring up Rey, everyone's like, oh, she must have been a Palpatine. I'm like, okay, I kind of get her being a Skywalker. I get the theme, and I get why. What personally pissed me, I'm like, this, her getting that name isn't the problem. The problem is the fact that it feels like they forced it, because at the end of the thing, they're just like, she has this weird conversation with the character no one's ever seen before, never sees again. She's in literally one shot of the entire fucking three trilogies. This character appears in one shot, and like Ray says her name to this. I'm like, what? Why? Why does it matter if you have a Ray becoming a Skywalker? Then you need to make a big deal of it. That is a big fucking deal. That should be something that Luke or Leia like formally tells her, or they gift to her in person. Like they actually
Yeah,
tell her that instead of her just saying it to some random character.
I feel like if they kept the story beats from Last Jedi, where she had no connection to any other pre-established character, her saying that at the end of Rise of Skywalker would hit so much harder and make so much more sense because she had no family. And through training under Luke and then with Leia, she basically became an adopted an adopted Skywalker.
Yeah,
And that leading into that at the end of Rise of Skywalker would hit so much harder because she sees herself as Luke and Leia's family instead of oh, she's like Palpatine.
yeah. I don't get what they were going for. It was stupid.
They just ran out of so many. They ran out of ideas with Rise of
No,
Skywalker,
100%.
man. Just bringing back Palpatine after he dies in Return of the Jedi, and the fact that him coming back in Rise of Skywalker basically means a lot of the stuff like in Bad Batch they basically have to try to explain like with cloning and Project Necromancer, and they have to make it make sense retroactively, which is just so fucking dumb. Um, honestly, they could have, yeah, like you said, they could have made Ben like the big bad, and them have a big grandiose fight at the end, a la like Obi-Wan and Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, and then Kylo losing, but Rey choosing not to kill him, and then Ben having to basically come to terms with, oh, he killed his dad, and he has to live with all that stuff and hopefully try to be a better person. Um, it's just it really sucks that Carrie Fisher passed during the making of this movie, so they had to like write around it. So she couldn't really be in the story as much as we wanted her to. Um, Obviously Han Solo, Harrison Ford doesn't want to be Han Solo anymore because he's been they fucking killed him off in the first Force Awakens movie. Uh yeah, they really could have done so much better. Also, sidetrack, how did you feel about the sudden romance between Ray and then Kyle and Ben?
I thought it was stupid as fuck.
Yeah,
I
so did I.
thought I thought it shouldn't have existed, and it was there to please the Raylo fans who, for some reason, exist.
I would I'll tell you my exact reaction when I saw this movie in theaters. When they kissed, I was like, "What?" Because that the whole relationship between them, it kind of felt like a brother sister kind of bond that was forming in Last Jedi and in this movie. But then just out of nowhere, just like a fucking forced like kiss romance. It just kind of it like it wasn't it didn't read that way to me at all. It was just super fucking weird. Um yeah, it really does suck that Rise of Skywalker is like my only F tier, and that's like the movie that everyone hates on.
I have
But
two F tiers, but like,
at some point, I have to agree with them because
th-
obviously Palpatine coming back is just so stupid,
uh,
and some
not
of the
just Palpatine coming
characters.
back is stupid. Like, it's the end of the Skywalker saga, right? It's the end of like six
Hmm.
films of build up, and it ends on like a pointless whisper. Like, it doesn't even end with a bang. It tries to do an Avengers thing for some reason. It doesn't even like feel like Star Wars anymore. It feels like it's trying to do Avengers for some reason. And I'm like, this would be so much better if you just did Star Wars. Maybe
Yeah.
even like they didn't go Star Wars enough.
At least the ending like space fight scene was nice. I think that
Yeah,
was pretty good. I mean, it doesn't blow Rogue One out of the water, but it's nice to look at.
it
It
was
doesn't hold
fine.
like it doesn't hit as hard as Rogue One, obviously for me at least. Um,
No,
yeah,
it was
it
disappointing that
could
they didn't do
it
anything.
it,
And like
it could
the
have
Finn
it could have
storyline, I feel like Finn's storyline should have ended with like it pushing into like Rey training Finn to be a Jedi. Like the whole
yeah
story should have been like not even Rey like learning. It should have been like maybe they put it as like 5 years later and Rey's finished her training. She's a full Jedi and like she's helping Leia train Finn, and then you've got this whole storyline of these Jedi like rising to take out to fight the Sith. I feel like that would have been cool, like building the Jedi back
yeah.
up. And they're like, no, we'll just have one Jedi the whole time because that's what everyone wants.
It's so dumb.
Sequin.
Ugh. Yeah,
I hate it.
Finn was like the standout character
Yeah,
through like the first movie, and it just really sucks to see him sidelined so much
yeah,
in the third movie.
yeah. The
Um,
second too, it sucked. Like Rise of Skywalker is probably the best written, but it didn't use Finn, and that's one of the
as
biggest things
much,
of this trilogy. The biggest
yeah,
problems of this trilogy. Also, the sequel trilogy is the only trilogy like of main films that didn't get a single thing into S tier. The other two both got S tiers from me. I sent you if you check out Discord, you'll see I've sent you my tier list already, so you can actually look at it, or even put it up on screen so people can see it. But given that is
All
our tier
right.
list, and we've been going for 3 hours, dude. It's a long stream just talking about Star Wars, and now my throat is dead. I've been streaming for like 8 hours today, dude. I I'm gonna go do
All
something
right.
else, like drink.
Let me go ahead and put this up. So on my tier list, S tier is the original, Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, Andor season 1 and 2, Rogue One, The Clone Wars show, Episode 3, Visions, Mandalorian. A tier is Episode 1, Episode 2,
Yeah, my S tier.
Solo.
Wait. Let me do my S tier quick. So my S
Okay.
tier is way smaller than Chris's because he's got like what eight eight films on his S tier. Nine like separate entries to S tier. I have four. I have episode 3, episode 6, Andor seasons 1 and 2, and Vision season 1 and 2. That is my S tier. All four of those. My A tier is a little bit bigger with 7, being Clone Wars, all of it, all 7 seasons, not the movie. Like, you could see this. The
Yeah, the
movie is
Clone Wars
not on
show.
there. The Clone Wars show is on there. Tales of the Jedi is up there because, yeah, I fucking love Tales of the Jedi. Rogue One is up there. Ahsoka is up there. Episode 2. Episode 2 is up there less because it's the best movie ever written and more because I just really enjoy it. It just makes me very happy to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 5 is up there because it is good. It's not my favorite. It's still pretty good. I might have, I talked about it, groused about it, but that's just because everybody knows all the good points. I have to justify it being lower than S tier. Everybody knows the good points. I don't need to talk
Yeah.
about that. And then and then Last Jedi. Again, I liked it. It wasn't perfect. I just really enjoyed it the most, and I enjoyed it. Honestly, I could rewatch it more than anything I put in any tier below it. I could probably rewatch it more times. That's
Honestly, I
kind of
didn't expect you to put that one higher than I did.
I did, but I have different tastes. Then B tier is A New Hope, Episode 1, Skeleton Crew. This is as big as your S tier. My B tier is like it's a bigger B tier, but like Skeleton Crew, Solo, Bad Batch, Rebels, Mandalorian, Tales of the Underworld, and Force Awakens all B tier stuff to me. It's good, but it's not the best thing ever. Then Tales of the Empire is fine. It's fine. Kenobi, it's fine. It's not the greatest thing ever. It's not the worst thing ever. It's just fine. Book of Boba Fett, again. Actually, no. Book of Boba Fett makes me genuinely angry, which is why it's in D tier. It genuinely pisses me off because it should have been better. Same goes for Acolyte. And then Clone Wars, it should have just been
The
episodes in the
movie.
series. Yeah, the movie. It should have just been episodes in the series. And then, obviously, then my F tier is just Resistance and Rise of Skywalker. Resistance because it just feels like it talks down to everyone. And then Rise of Skywalker for the reasons both me and Chris just talked about ad nauseum.
Yeah.
Plus, and then I haven't seen Young Jedi, so it's just I haven't seen it. I don't know anything. I have no judgment.
All right. And for mine, S tier, original Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Andor season 1 and 2, Rogue One, The Clone Wars show, Episode 3, Visions, and Mandalorian. A tier is Episode 1, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Solo, Tales of the Jedi, Ahsoka, Bad Batch, what was that one? Tales of the Underworld, Skeleton Crew, and then Force Awakens. B tier is Book of Boba Fett, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, Acolyte, and Last Jedi. C is the Clone Wars movie. F tier is the Rise of Skywalker. Crazy, that's like my only bad one. I'm much more positive when it comes to stuff. So the fact that Rise of Skywalker is like the worst one is just really shows you how bad it is. And then I haven't seen Rebels, Resistance, Young Jedi, or Tales of the Empire.
Yeah. Some of those I'm like,
Yeah,
don't bother, and others I'm like, you really should. Can you guess which ones I don't think you should bother with?
Rebels. You were talking how much you really like the young Jedi kiddie show
I mean, you can watch that.
because it has
I
a
know
it
literally
has a
nothing
teddy
about it.
it has a teddy bear in it. I think.
Well, you'll love it then, Chris. You are the youngest of us anyway, so my little baby brother will probably love Young Jedi. So you should probably watch that. It's perfect for you.
All right, guys. Well, those are our thoughts on the Star Wars. Hopefully, at least for me, going forward, that they have more outside influence when it comes to like the shows and the movies, much like Visions when it came to the different stories and the different storytellers, um, and Andor, obviously, because Andor was just fucking amazing. I really feel like we should watch Andor season one again, or at least the prison arc, because I saw some clips and it was like clips on TikTok, and I was like, fuck, this is already getting me into it. Just how good that prison arc scene was, the arc was. Um, but yeah, what do you want to see going forward when it comes to Star Wars, AC?
I want to see more spiritual stuff with the Jedi, but I want to see it where people treat it seriously and not like the dark side's cooler and that they should always be dark side. The dark side's more interesting. I'm like, I want someone to take the cosmic force itself seriously and actually treat it like it's something important to the fabric of Star Wars instead of just the like rebellion being important. That the
Mm-hmm.
Jedi and the Force is important to it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I would like to
And
see more Jedi stuff. After like some of the more grounded things like Andor. But if they could make a Jedi show that's like treated the same like Andor, I think that would be cool too.
yeah,
But yeah, I hope you guys had a good time. We've been live for like 3 hours, so AC has to go because it's currently nighttime for him right now. But we hope to see you guys next time we do the podcast. Not much to talk about news wise. Because mainly it was just the tier list. But maybe you guys have like some of the same opinions of us as us, maybe different opinions. We'd love to hear about it. Just let us know down below, stuff like that. Um, until next time, we will catch you then.